subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Synopsis once traveled through time, became a descendant of the Lunaria bloodline. One day, 9-year-old Ai picked up 5-year-old Charlotte Linlin on the coast of Ai Erbafu. When two natural monsters come together, the strongest Lunaria God in history is born. The eldest son, Perospero, is extremely powerful and invulnerable. He turns into a phoenix and burns the sky with flames. The eldest daughter, Compote, perfectly inherits her mother's talent. She's like a steel balloon and turns into Thor, wielding thunder. The second son, Katakuri, is born with divine power. Haki is unparalleled. He turns into a blue dragon, calls the wind and rain, and suppresses the sea. The second daughter, Smoothie, has amazing swordsmanship talent. She turns into a seraph, splits mountains and cuts seas, and is sacred and inviolable. The third son, Daifuku, meatball fruit. The fourth son, Owen, maramara fruit. Bloodline factor transformation, eliminating bad assets. The men are handsome and the women are cool. Chapter 1. Lunaria. Born monsters, Ai Air. See Circle Calendar, 1459. The second half of New World, Ai Erbafu Giant Village. A sweet-looking girl with golden hair, 2 braids, and a body of no less than 5 meters came running over. She shouted to the boy who was about the same size as her, but had black wings on his back. "We are going to play hide and seek. Do you want to come play with us?" "No, you guys play, Gerd." The boy named Ai refused without thinking. "I still have to train with the 2 adults." He had a head of gray and white hair. He looked about 8 or 9 years old, with a resolute face and extremely handsome. There was a maturity that did not match his age between his eyebrows, and he was carrying a pair of black wings. There was a ball of flames burning at the back of his head. Okay then. Gerd was full of loss. But soon, she put this worry behind her. He happily ran to other giant friends and started playing with them. Pop, 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 pop. Ai is really a perseverant child. A tall figure with a horned helmet and a long beard that was like a waterfall, so exaggerated that it fell directly to the ground, sat there. He stroked his fluffy beard and smiled at the boy with wings on his back. This child is not an ordinary giant child, although he only has half of the giant blood in his body. But he is a monster by nature, invulnerable to swords and guns, and has infinite strength. He has terrible talents and potential. The future is limitless. Not bad. What a BA. Another huge figure, Whitebeard, who was also sitting on the side, was old and had a mountain-like flower. He stroked his beard, his eyes full of praise and amazement, and smiled and said, "Maybe he can become the most powerful warrior in the world in the future." The 2 old men were none other than others. It was Mountain Beard Gerald and Waterfall Beard Jorel, the former leaders of the giant pirates and the elders of the giant village of Erbafu. They were highly respected and worshipped by most of the giants in Erbafu and the world. And thanks to the fact that the lifespan of the giants is at least 3 times that of ordinary humans. Each of them is already over 300 years old. They are known as the oldest warriors in the world. "You 2 elders are too kind." Hearing this, was not shy. He was confident, but not arrogant. He smiled and said, "I just hope to master the 3 spears of Erbafu as soon as possible, but I'm still far away." He was a half-giant, and his mother was a giant. But his father was not an ordinary human, but a legendary god clan, the Lunaria clan. He followed his parents to hide in the first half of the Grand Line since he was born, escaping the pursuit of the world government. Later, in order to protect him, his parents fought with the Marine and CP agents and died of serious injuries. When he was 3 years old, he was deeply emotionally stimulated by the death of his parents, awakened his wisdom, and recovered the memory of his previous life. He kept avoiding the pursuit of the world government, and with the innate flying ability of the Lunaria tribe, he ventured into the calm belt alone. He was stranded on a deserted island and lived there alone. It seems that he has the blood of the giants. His skin color is different from the brown skin of his Lunaria father. He follows his giant mother and has a normal skin color. And as he grows up, he inherits the blood of the two major races of the giants and the Lunaria tribe. His body, which is already far superior to ordinary people and unbelievably strong, gradually undergoes incredible changes. Not only does his appetite increase greatly, but he also becomes extremely powerful and invulnerable. Even those ferocious sea kings couldn't bite through his steel-like skin. He was so strong that he could even tear the bodies of those sea kings with his bare hands, and he easily dominated the calm belt. A year ago, when he was 8 years old and was alone hunting sea kings on the seabed, he accidentally found a rotten shipwreck and found a devil fruit. After eating it, he gained the ability of the snake fruit, the mythical beast, and the Quetzalcoatl form. He had just turned 9 years old. With his strong physique and amazing flying ability, he crossed the red line and flew from the first half of the Grand Line to the giant village of Ai Erbafu through the life card brought by his mother from Ai Erbafu. He was accepted by the giants here because his mother was a giant. In the past 6 months since he came to Ai Erbafu, he has been training with these two former leaders of the giant pirates. The purpose is to learn the highest combat skills of Ai Erbafu and master the power of Haki. No, this is not an exaggeration. You do have such potential. Looking at the extremely stunning and impeccable boy in front of him, Mountain Beard Gerald said with a smile. Jababa, Ai Erbarfu's strongest skills are naturally not so easy to master, but with your qualifications, Ai Air is only a matter of time. Waterfall Beard, Jorel smiled and nodded. Stroking his waterfall-like beard, he continued, "You are still young. Even if you're just a half-giant who inherited half of the giant bloodline, your lifespan must be much longer than that of normal humans. There is no need to be so anxious, kid." They used to be the leaders of the giant pirates. When they were young, they led the pirate group to travel the sea and made a great reputation. Their experience was not comparable to that of ordinary giant warriors. But even if the two asked themselves that they had seen countless geniuses who suddenly appeared on the sea during their long journey, they had never seen a monster like Ai Air. It was simply blessed by God, a natural warrior. The skin was as tough as steel, which was unimaginable. They had witnessed it with their own eyes when Ai Air did not dodge or evade. Even adult giant warriors, swinging their swords with all their strength, could not shake the opponent. Instead, they were shocked to the point of numbness in their palms, and even their swords broke. Moreover, Ai Air, who inherited half of the giant bloodline, can be said to be extremely powerful. He can easily lift an adult giant with one hand, throw it into the air like a human child throwing a rag doll, and catch it again easily without any effort. Especially, it is the legendary Lunaria tribe. He is born with the ability to manipulate fire and can ignore damage. Once he grows up, I am afraid that no one in this sea can really kill him. If Hailding can be 1/10 of you, we will be happy. Looking at a giant child not far away, who is training seriously there, swinging a long sword in a serious manner, sweating profusely. Mountain Beard, Gerald, and Waterfall Beard, Jorel, are a little helpless and regretful. The kid Helding has good perseverance and works very hard, but his talent is not even close. He is not as good as the blue ogre Dory and red ogre Broggy, who were trained by the two of them after they officially retired and became the leaders of the new generation of giant pirates. Unfortunately, for some reason, those two guys had a fierce conflict and dueled on an island outside. As a result, the members of the giant pirates who lost their leader were caught by Marine and almost publicly executed. Thanks to the nun, Virgin Mary Carmelo, who stepped forward to dissuade Marine from executing the giant warriors, the world government and the giants, who had been hostile for hundreds of years, reluctantly reached a reconciliation. There are even giant warriors who are willing to join Marine and become the vice admiral of the naval headquarters. So far, neither blue ogre nor red ogre has returned victoriously, and there has been no news. The giant pirates, which once shook the sea, fell into silence again. Finally, I met a natural warrior like Ai Air, but he is not interested in this. Chapter 2. Holy Mother? The ability to read people's minds. 9454, 9455, 9,456. The sun sets. Ai Air is at the outskirts of the giant village of Bav. A figure with wings on his back, much larger than a human, is sweating profusely there. Ai Air, sweating profusely, has a determined look. He keeps swinging his sword. Woo! The sound of breaking through the air. The amazing wind pressure sweeps ahead. Big and small rocks, carried by the strong hurricane, keep splashing. Each tree is far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Even the giant warriors with huge bodies need several people to hug them. The exaggerated towering trees are swaying there. Even some adult giant warriors feel a little numb. For fear of being injured by mistake, they dare not approach rashly. Ai Air, although you are born with supernatural power and your strength is unmatched, your sword swinging speed is not fast enough, nor is it condensed enough. Mountain Beard Gerald, who was standing by, held his beard and taught him tirelessly. When your slashing blows no longer cause such fierce wind pressure, and your strength is no longer so dispersed, and all your strength is fully condensed and compressed, you will be able to successfully master Ai Erbaf's proud spear skills. Jabba Baba. Because the giants are born with huge bodies and far more power than other intelligent races. Waterfall Beard, Jorl smiled and nodded. They also gave careful instructions and imparted their experience. So the fighting skills of the giants are all open and closed, not as fancy as the swordsmanship or physical skills of humans. Every move is about breaking the trick with force, and every strike is powerful and heavy, tearing and destroying all obstacles with overwhelming force. You must concentrate without distraction and not be disturbed by the outside world. Try to focus your own strength, momentum, will, on this strike. Yes, I will work hard. 2 elders. Ai Air stopped with a firm look. Listen to the teachings of the 2 giant elders. Summarize your own shortcomings and actively correct them. Although he is a natural monster, he could be said to be gifted. Even if he doesn't need to work hard, perhaps his future achievements will still not be too low. But at best, he will be the second Charlotte Linlin. This is not the result Ai Air wants. His ambition is more than that. Immediately, Ai Air took a deep breath, closed his eyes, controlled the rhythm of his breathing, and adjusted it carefully. He swung his sword again. Whoosh, whoosh. The cold light shone. The wind pressure was captivating. It was indeed much better than before. The wind was still strong, but not so scattered. What a gift! Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard nodded secretly. They were amazed. He was indeed a natural warrior favored by God. His talent was really amazing. He had gained some insights so quickly. This extraordinary understanding alone was not comparable to that of Wielding, a simple-minded and overly rigid kid. In just half a year, the opponent had almost learned Ai Erbaf's fighting skills. If he was not too young and his body had not fully grown, which restricted him, I am afraid he would have successfully mastered Ai Erbaf's spear. 29995, 29996, 29,997. Time passed. Ai Air was sweating profusely while training. The ground had long been soaked with his sweat. Pop, pop, pop. Ai Air, let's stop here for today. Looking at the sky, Mountain Beard Gerald said with satisfaction. It's getting late. We should go back. Yes, practice should be relaxed and tense. Never be too impatient. Continue tomorrow. Stroke his waterfall-like beard. Waterfall Beard, Gerald said with a smile. This is what Ai Air admires more. This gifted boy with half-giant bloodline has a firm will and extraordinary perseverance. He is not afraid of hardship in practice, never complains, and can persevere. Very rare. Huh. Okay. See you tomorrow, elders. Ai Air took a long breath and stopped practicing. She shook off the sweat on her head and watched Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard leave. Ai Air, are you done practicing? Not far away, an old woman wearing black nun clothes and with wrinkles on her face came over and said to Ai Air with a smile, "Today is Wu Tan's birthday. I prepared a big birthday cake. Do you want to join us?" She had a kind face, holding a cigarette, Her wrinkled face was smiling, but looking at this young and handsome boy with black wings, like a fallen angel, the depths of her eyes were filled with unnoticeable greed and fear. This is the remnant of the Lunaria tribe. The world government once issued a sky-high reward. Anyone who finds the trace of this tribe and reports it to the world government can get a reward of 100 million Baileys. Even if the Lunaria tribe can be captured alive, a huge reward will be obtained. Unfortunately, this guy's been a bit lukewarm towards me. There is no way to trick him into the Lamb's house, and he is a powerful monster. He is invulnerable, powerful, and has the terrifying ability of the mythical beast, which makes people tremble. No, sister, I have prepared dinner. Ai refused with a smile. As a time traveler, he naturally knows the identity of the Virgin Mary in front of him. The so-called prevention of Marine's execution of the giant warriors of the giant pirates is just a play directed and performed by the world government and Carmelo. Her real identity: she is a well-known human trafficker in the underground world, codenamed Yamaba. Those orphans or problem children sent to the Lamb's house were not sent to kind people for adoption, but were directly sold to the world government or other forces by her. Most of those with good qualifications were sold to the world government and brainwashed and trained to become CP agents. As for those with mediocre qualifications or physical disabilities, most of them were sold to other forces. The end is needless to say. Carmelo, who is greedy by nature, has long coveted him, a survivor of the Lunaria tribe. But he was not willing to just report the news to the world government and get the mere 100 million Baileys bounty. He was afraid of his power and could not use force. He also tried every means to trick him to leave Ai Erbafu so that CP0 and Marine could ambush him in advance and capture him directly. However, he ignored her at all, leaving her helpless. However, the reason why Ai kept him until now isn't it waiting for her to attract more children with good qualifications from all over the world and all races for herself? Those problem children who can be kept by Carmelo are all talented. She's going to make a lot of money before retirement and keep them to sell to the world government. It only takes some time and a little training. It is also a big help. Okay, I won't bother you anymore. There should be a limit to cultivation. You have to take care of your body. Carmelo was helpless, but still kindly reminded. In his heart, he hated her to death. The damned little devil actually rejected his kindness repeatedly. Don't let her get a chance, otherwise I will sell her to the world government. This is a huge bounty. Slow down, sister. Ai smiled warmly, watching Carmelo leaving. Unfortunately, the nun didn't know it all. This hybrid of the Lunaria and the Giants is not just a monster-like physique. Moreover, he was born with the observation Haki that can read other people's thoughts. After all these years of his unremitting efforts and training, he can even read other people's memories. The other party's malice and calculations, he thought they were well hidden, but in fact, they were exposed in front of him like a clown. Over the years, this Virgin Mary has accumulated a lot of wealth by constantly selling high-quality children of various races. Where is it hidden? If you want to figure it out, it's easy. He wants people. He wants treasures. Everything Carmelo did was just to help him. Want to retire and live in seclusion? Hell's a good place. Chapter 3: Mythical Beast Species. Quetzalcoatl Form. Ai Ambition. It's time to prepare dinner for today. Looking at the setting sun, Ai did not continue to practice and spread his wings. Woo-hoo-hoo. Accompanied by a hurricane, the tall figure flapped its wings and flew away. Soon, Ai had arrived at the coast of Ai Erbafu giant village. The tall figure was extremely fast, swiped across the sea. Roar, a hideous, ferocious sea kings, which was no less than 100 meters in size, suddenly rushed out with a bloody mouth, biting Ai fiercely. I've been waiting for you. Ai chuckled. The reaction was extremely fast. Suddenly turned in midair. The veins on his right arm bulged, and the fist print blasted out fiercely. Boom. Exaggerated power. The pressure distorted the atmosphere. Boom, boom. A loud noise, blood splashed. A terrifying punch. It hit the extremely ferocious Sea Kings directly blasted its huge head to pieces. An exaggerated blood hole that was transparent from front to back appeared there. Shocking. Z. The back of the head was blazing, and a large amount of flames surrounded Ai Er's entire body, and the blood that splashed was directly evaporated. The huge body of Sea Kings, which was hundreds of meters long, seemed to have lost its support all of a sudden and was about to crash into the sea. But Ai Er grabbed the bloody skull with his big hand, pulling the bulky body, flying to the coast. Voila! A large amount of water splashed. The huge body of Sea Kings. It actually broke away from the sea and soared into the air. Bang! The rocks flew and raised a large amount of smoke and dust. It was thrown heavily on the long coast. Schwa! Back to the shore. Ai Er drew his right hand in the air. Swish, swish. All of a sudden, several extremely sharp wind blades flashed by. This Sea Kings, which was no less than 100 meters long, but could only be considered a small karami in the scene near Ai Erbafu, was directly cut into pieces. After continuous training, even in human form, he can activate his own fruit ability to a certain extent. No need to transform directly. Then, Ai Er stomped his right foot lightly. Swish, swish. The ground trembled. One by one, green sprouts broke out of the ground. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it turned into a huge vine, piercing through the chopped Sea Kings, stringing them up one by one and hanging them in the air. Even the internal organs were pulled out by the vines and cleaned up. This is one of the abilities of the snake fruit. Mythical beast, Quetzalcoatl form. According to legend, Quetzalcoatl is a god who brings rainy seasons, is associated with sowing, harvesting, and a bumper harvest, and also represents death and rebirth. He is the god of agriculture, the god of the sky, and the god of the sun. Ai Er is not only immune to all poisons, but can also release powerful venom, and has unparalleled attack, defense, and recovery capabilities. He can also manipulate storms, thunder, fire, and other elements, and can directly call the wind and rain. He can also control plants and control the growth and shape of plants at will. What's more exaggerated is that he can recover from injuries by shedding his skin, and his body will become larger. According to Ai Er's speculation, the mythical bee species Quetzalcoatl form is likely to have the power of rebirth after death. But he has not yet confirmed this. Naturally, he would not be foolish enough to try. Swish! Looking at the Sea King meat hanging on the vines, which was like a small mountain, Ai Er was too lazy to deal with it slowly. His right hand directly grabbed a piece of Sea King meat that was even more exaggerated than the giant's. A ball of flames surged from his hand and completely submerged it. Crackle, sizzle, the terrible high-temperature flame. In a blink of an eye, it was roasted alive, and the aroma of meat filled the air. He directly grabbed the roasted Sea King and tore off a large piece. He feasted on it. In a few bites, it was completely destroyed. Then he continued to roast the next piece in the same way. In just less than half an hour, the sun had not completely set. This Sea King, which was already quite large in size in the world, was completely destroyed by him. It was jaw-dropping. Burp, the taste is SOSO, but at least I'm full. Ai Er touched his bloated stomach and sat there lazily, holding a fishbone in his mouth. Looking at the surging sea, his thoughts flew and he fell into memories. He was hunted all over the world by the world government and marine since he was born. Not to mention the dangers again and again, he only awakened his wisdom when he was 3 years old and recovered his memories of the previous life. Those parents who risked their lives to protect him again and again have already won his recognition and regarded them as real relatives. Even his parents died at such a young age, but it was all thanks to the world government. How could he be indifferent? This account will be settled with the world government sooner or later. Thinking of this, Ai Er's eyes flashed with a cold light. Red line, Marioa. In the future, I will go directly. He has the blood of the Lunaria tribe. He is born to be against the world government. For a long time, I don't know whether they are too afraid of the amazing racial talent of the Lunaria tribe, or they covet the Lunaria tribe's innate ability to survive in any harsh environment. Or maybe both. As early as hundreds of years ago, the world government had issued a related bounty. In any case, anyone who finds the whereabouts of the Lunaria tribe and reports it to the world government can directly receive a bounty of 100 million berries. If you can capture a member of the Lunaria tribe and hand it over to the world government, you will receive a huge reward. This bounty has no time limit and is still valid. From the beginning, the two sides were destined to be enemies to the death. A pair of black wings on the back, gray-white hair, brown skin, and a flame on the back of the head. These are the main appearance features of the legendary god clan, the Lunaria tribe, which are easily recognized. Over the long years, countless people of the Lunaria tribe have been persecuted and hunted. They're already on the verge of extinction, and there are only a few surviving members. There are only a handful of them. Since there is no way out, let's turn the world upside down. Looking at the direction of the red line, he stretched out his right hand and clenched it into a fist. Ai Er's eyes were blazing, and his eyes were more determined than ever, revealing a strong ambition. Marine, celestial dragons, world government, all wait for me. I'm going to sit on that empty throne. King of the world? Celestial dragons can sit on it, but why can't Ai Er sit on it? Not only does he want to sit on it, but he also wants to sit on it openly and honestly, instead of being like the unworthy celestial dragon King Imu, who is like a stinky rat hiding in the ditch and dares to sit on it secretly. As a natural monster, Ai Er has the bloodline of the Lunaria clan and the Giant clan, and is also a mythical beast Quetzalcoatl form ability user, so he has such confidence. One day, he will come to the homeland of the Lunaria clan, the top of the red line. Under the witness of the whole world, he was crowned as the king of the world. Ascend the highest void throne. Trample this world under his feet. Chapter 4, a little sister Ling fell from the sky. Time flies. Half a month passed in a blink of an eye. In the morning, the sun rose and the sky was clear. A ray of golden sunlight was projected on the tall figure who was sleeping soundly in the cave. Ai Er, who had been practicing until late at night and had just spent the night in the cave he had opened up by the coast as a practice base, woke up. Well as it dawned, Ai Er squinted his eyes, yawned, and got up lazily. He stretched himself, picked up the wooden barrel filled with fresh water and toiletries that he had specially stored in the cave, and brushed his teeth there. Practice is practice. If conditions permit, he still pays more attention to his image. He doesn't like to make himself too sloppy, like a savage. Soon he finished washing, suddenly noticed the movement on the sea. A large ship slowly came to the distant coast and docked there. A thin human couple, with a chubby girl wearing a pink floral dress, who was 4 or 5 meters tall and much taller than a normal human child, walked down the boat. Judging from the clothes that were not gorgeous, but very decent, this family was either aristocrats or wealthy businessmen. The quality of life would not be too bad. A natural destroyer? I finally waited for you. Ai Er's eyes narrowed, and he smiled, staring at the human girl who was different from ordinary people and whose height was only 5 years old and was catching up with his half-giant. He recognized her at the first time. Charlotte Linlin, one of the future for emperors, a monster who was born like him, invulnerable, powerful, and with unlimited potential. Get ahead of Carmelo and intercept Charlotte Linlin. Ai Er's goal was clear and direct. This was a crazy and bold decision he had made long before he came to Ai Erbafu. He not only wants to conquer Charlotte Linlin, a woman with great potential, and train her to be his right-hand man. He also wants to join hands with this natural monster to revitalize the Lunaria tribe. Create the strongest tribe of gods in history. Linlin, it's up to you to revitalize the Lunaria tribe. Ai knows very well. Charlotte Linlin's exaggerated physique shows how easy it is to give birth. It's rare for other women to be pregnant with twins. She can easily give birth to several or even 10 babies at a time. Even sows can't give birth to piglets that much. At that time, 2 natural monsters who are blessed by nature. In addition to his bloodline from the Lunaria tribe and the Giant tribe, he believes that the combination of the two will definitely give birth to the strongest offspring and create the strongest family in the world. Perhaps it could be called the Lunaria tribe of gods. This sea will tremble for them. Where is this? At this moment on the coast. A little girl with a body that is more exaggerated than an adult, round and chubby, sitting there with a huge backpack on her back. She tilted her head and looked curiously at her parents who had called her off the boat, but were preparing to return to the boat. She was puzzled. Mom and Dad, where are you going? Linlin, be good. Dad has to do something nearby. Linlin, looking at her innocent and romantic daughter, who was only 5 years old but was as big as a little giant. The man in a top hat and a suit said unnaturally, "Can you wait for us here?" This is their daughter, Charlotte Linlin. She has an amazing appetite, a body size far beyond that of an ordinary person, and extraordinary strength. She is a playful child and cannot control her monster-like strength at all. She will bring destruction to the town at any time, and even hurt others if she is not careful. Sometimes even they, as parents, are a little scared, not to mention others. It is said that the Virgin Mary Carmelo often adopts problem children from all over the world, so they spend a lot of money to board the kingdom's merchant ship and send her to Ai Erbafu. It's not that they're so cruel and don't want this daughter, but they really can't raise her. This time, she caused great damage to the town, and the loss is immeasurable. But because the Charlotte family is a local noble family, 5-year-old Linlin was only betrayed and exiled overseas, which is a blessing. I want to go too. Linlin's face is full of smiles, biting her fingers, indicating that she wants to follow her parents. As long as Linlin waits here, the young woman comforted her daughter and said directly, Linlin can eat as much of the snacks in the backpack as she wants today. Huh? Oh, hearing that she could eat as much of the snacks as she wanted. Linlin's eyes were red with joy, and she immediately agreed. Then I'll wait here. Wait for you to come back. Baron Charlotte, we must leave as soon as possible. This sea area is very dangerous. Looking at the turbulent sea, the somewhat sloppy captain was busy reminding loudly there. He was worried that if he stayed too long, the ship might be attacked by large sea kings. Okay, right away. The couple looked at their 5-year-old daughter Linlin, although they were full of reluctance. But they still hardened their hearts and returned to the ship. This child is a natural destroyer, and they really can't control it. Mom and Dad, have a good trip. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thinking that her parents were just out to do something, Linlin, who would soon come back to pick her up, was completely unaware. With big eyes narrowed and teeth bared, she waved her hands happily and watched the armed merchant ship slowly go away. Especially, she was a little excited when she thought that she could eat the snacks in her backpack at will, because there were many delicious snacks in it. When the ship disappeared, Ai Air's tall figure flapped its wings and came. Someone with wings. Linlin looked at the person in surprise, looking at the other person's body that was almost the same size as her, and with black wings. She blinked her big eyes and was full of surprise. And it's the same size as me. Big brother, are you an angel? Hello, little sister. Looking at the innocent Linlin, Ai Air smiled and asked, I'm not an angel. Wings are natural. Did you just come here? Yes, my parents left for something, so I waited for them to come back here. Linlin, who had no idea about the situation, said happily, Can't wait to open the backpack and look for snacks there. But she was very generous and asked Ai Air in front of her like offering a treasure. Big brother, I have a lot of snacks here. Do you want to eat together? Thank you. Ai Air did not refuse. He touched Linlin's head in a friendly manner and said with a smile, My name is Ai Air, and your name is Linlin, right? Ai Air, Oni Ai-chan. Yes, my name is Charlotte Linlin here. Chapter 5, Exaggerated Strength, teaching Linlin gulp gulp. On the coast, the 5-ton little fat girl sat there. She took out a delicious dessert from her backpack and placed it in front of her, sharing it with Ai Air, whom she just met. She grabbed the dessert with both hands. She stuffed them into her mouth like swallowing a whole date. She wolfed them down without any image. So sweet, so delicious. After swallowing a piece of sweet and greasy pastry, the innocent Charlotte Linlin squinted her eyes and showed a happy smile. You have to savor the pastry slowly to enjoy it. Don't eat it too fast, Linlin. She grabbed a piece of pastry that was not small, But for her body size that was no less than that of the giants of the same age, it was only the size of a thumb. She threw it into her mouth and enjoyed the sweet taste. Ai looked at the greedy Linlin in front of him and smiled dumbly. You eat it all at once, but there is no more. This girl is only a 5-year-old girl. Her mind is not yet mature. She is greedy and playful at the age, and she can't control her monster-like power. No wonder Charlotte and her husband can't control her. It means that he, who is also a natural monster, can suppress it steadily, right? Mom and Dad often say this, but I can't help but want to eat big mouthfuls every time he... Biting her fingers, Linglin's face is full of smiles. Looking at the empty backpack and the messy ground, she scratched her head subconsciously and said to Ai, sorry, I seem to have eaten too much just now, and I ate all the snacks. It's okay. I haven't eaten such delicious snacks for a long time. Ai habitually touched Linlin's head and said with a smile, Thank you today, Linlin. Hee, there are many delicious foods in my house. Ai, can you come to my house to play with Linlin in the future? Looking at the handsome boy in front of her, Linlin blinked her big eyes, full of expectation. The children in the neighborhood are too timid and refuse to play with me. For some reason, she felt that Ai, whom she had just met, was full of kindness. I like to be with this big brother who looks good, speaks gently, and is the same size as herself. What's more, the other party is not afraid of her at all. It makes her very happy. Well, I live here. If Linlin has nowhere to go in the future, she can also come to my house to play. Ai smiled and nodded. Didn't tell her the cruel truth. After all, for a 5-year-old child, being abandoned by parents is obviously unacceptable. Moreover, if you tell Charlotte Linlin directly, she will not believe it easily, but may overstimulate her. It is better to let it fade slowly over time. When she grows up, she will naturally understand. She will slowly accept it in her heart. Splash. Looking at the surging sea, from time to time, huge fish that are larger than the armed merchant ship just now jump out of the sea one after another. Linlin is full of surprise. The fish here are so big. This is Ai Erbafu, where giants live. So many plants and animals here are surprisingly big. Ai smiled gently. Touching Linlin's head, he smiled and said, By the way, I just ate Linlin's snacks. Can I treat you to grilled fish too? It just so happened that he hadn't had breakfast yet. The snacks that Linlin just sent were naturally impossible to fill his bottomless stomach. Born monsters like them have amazing stomach digestion ability. It can even be said that they have their own life return and can perfectly digest any food. Even if you swallow a stone or even steal his food, you won't feel uncomfortable. The strong stomach acid will melt it directly, then excrete it. Grilled fish. Hearing this, Linlin's eyes lit up. Looking at Ai, drooling. Really? Of course, Linlin. Wait for me. Ai smiled and nodded. With both wings spread, he was about to fly out. Ai, your wings are so beautiful, and you can fly. Linlin wants them too. Seeing Ai's back, the pair of black wings spread out directly. Charlotte Linlin's round eyes were full of surprise and envy. She was a child, and she didn't know what it meant to be rude. She stepped forward and grabbed his wings curiously, pulling them there. Why is there a flame behind your head? Puff! The black wings shook suddenly, breaking free from Charlotte Linlin's hands. Ai, who was somewhat helpless, knocked on her head unhappily and taught her. You are so clumsy. If you are curious about something in the future, don't just touch it casually and don't use so much force. It's very rude. This girl didn't know how exaggerated the strength she used unconsciously was. Even adult giants couldn't stand it. That is to say, he is a natural monster, and even the wings on his back are extremely tough, which would be said to be invulnerable to swords and guns, so he can withstand her terrible, strange power. Otherwise, if it were other Lunaria tribes, I am afraid that their wings would be broken. Well, it hurts. Linlin covered her red forehead. She looked at Ai with tears in her eyes, full of confusion. Why is it that Ai, you are so strong that you can make Linlin feel pain? Obviously at home. She did something wrong to make her parents angry. But no matter what stick they used to hit her, it didn't hurt. But Ai's head burst, which made her feel a little painful. That's because I am born with supernatural power like you. Gently pinched Linlin's chubby cheeks. Ai Air smiled and taught her seriously. Linlin, you have to remember that we are special. Our bodies are different from others. We are naturally strong, and our skin is as hard as steel. So, sometimes, even if you think you're not using any strength, just a light grab, you may hurt others around you, or even put their lives in danger. Huh? Is that so? Linlin bit her finger. Blinking her big eyes, she was surprised. She looked at the kind and friendly big brother in front of her. Thinking back to when she was at home, it seemed that she often hurt others accidentally. Her movements were very light, and she didn't dare to use force. As a result, those people were too fragile, like paper. She just pulled them lightly, and they cried, and their arms broke directly. Or she patted them lightly, and they flew out directly, fell there, and vomited blood. The children around were also afraid of her. They refused to play with her. Yes, you are too strong, just like you want to pick up the ants under your feet to play, but sometimes you still accidentally crush them to death. Ai saw it with his own eyes. When this girl was eating snacks just now, although her hands were very light, she couldn't control her strength every time, and she would smash the snacks at any time. Then she stuffed them into her mouth without caring. He estimated that Charlotte, when Linlin is at home, her parents probably don't dare to hug her casually, let alone let their daughter hug them. Otherwise, she will either be suffocated or strangled. If she is not careful, all the bones in her body may be broken. She may be injured easily, and her life may be in danger. It seems so. Linlin scratched her head and smiled innocently. Aren't the friends around her on weekdays as fragile as ants? She hurt them accidentally. Chapter 6, Ai Air. Linlin, you don't want to sizzle. On the coast, the raging flames were burning. The terrible high temperature distorted the atmosphere and made people's scalps numb. The huge vines, strung with huge fish, lay there. They were roasted golden and exuded an alluring fragrance. In order to entertain Linlin, Ai Air's breakfast this time was not as sloppy as usual. After easily catching a few fish that were larger than ordinary boats, they were simply processed in a few minutes. She ran back to the cave to take out the seasoning she had stored there, and then directly released the flames, controlled the temperature, and roasted them one by one. So this time the roasted fish was full of fragrance, which made Charlotte Linlin drool directly. However, the seasonings stored by Ai Air were also sold out. The inventory was emptied in an instant. Are you greedy? It's cooked. Eat it quickly. The flame was put away. She cut off a piece of fragrant roasted fish and handed it to him. Ai Air smiled and said, although it's still hot, it won't be a problem for people like you and me. So magical. Is it magic? Linlin sat there drooling, blinking her big eyes. She was full of curiosity about the power that could manipulate strange vines and release flames. But before Ai Air responded, she quickly put this question behind her, because a large piece of fragrant grilled fish was handed directly to her. Hee, thank you. Then I'll start. Linlin's eyes were shining. I couldn't wait to take the steaming and hot grilled fish. Holding the grilled fish that was bigger than her, she took a big bite and gobbled it up. You can't eat hot tofu in a hurry. That's for ordinary people. The temperature of the freshly grilled sea king's meat is indeed enough to burn people. But for monsters like them, it doesn't hurt at all. Delicious, so fragrant. Although Linlin usually prefers sweets, but she still liked other delicious foods. Her mouth was full of oil, and she finished the piece of grilled fish in her hand in a few bites. She was not even afraid of choking, and she chewed all the fish bones and swallowed them directly. She looked at the other grilled fish again, and her eyes were full of greed. Ai Air, I want more. Eat slowly, there are more. Ai Air looked at her with a smile. She also ate and finished the grilled fish. Soon, the two of them had easily finished several grilled fish of exaggerated size. There were only some fish scales left on the ground. Fish bones? There was no bone residue left. Calcium supplement. Burp, it's great. Burping. Covering her round belly, Linlin, who was satisfied, squinted her crescent eyes and grinned happily. This is the first time I've eaten so full. Thank you, Ai Air. As long as I'm here, Linlin can eat whenever she wants. Ai Air said with a smile. Really? That's great. Linlin was full of surprise and said innocently, Ai Air, why don't you come home with us when Mom and Dad come back? Okay, if Linlin's parents agree, I will go to Linlin's house as a guest. Mom and Dad are so nice, they will definitely agree. Really? Ai Air smiled. He didn't burst the little girl's beautiful fantasy. By the way, Linlin, let me show you a magic trick. He thought of something. He smiled and stretched out his right hand, pointed to the ground, and hooked his finger. Not long after, in Charlotte Linlin's surprised eyes, a green seedling grew directly out, growing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and bloomed with colorful flowers. It was beautiful. Wow. Looking at this magical scene, Linlin's eyes lit up. So beautiful. Pointing at the flowers blooming on the plants, Ai Air smiled and said, These flowers are very fragile. You should try to pick these petals gently without damaging them, and slowly control your own power. He picked these flowers, not to please Linlin, but to guide her to control her exaggerated power as much as possible, so as not to hurt others by mistake or cause too much damage. This is difficult. Linlin stared with big eyes, looking at the flowers on the plant. Each one is about the size of a fingernail. Grabbing one of them, he tried to tear off a petal, but because it was too big and he used too much force, he crushed several petals. He tried several times in a row, and the result was the same. He could only look at Ai Air in front of him, full of grievance. Ai Air, I have been very careful, but I still can't do it. I broke all these flowers. If you want to control your own power and not hurt others around you, this is a must. Ai Air shrugged and said helplessly, You are too strong. It was just me just now. If it was someone else, you would have torn their wings off. I didn't mean it. Linlin pouted and lowered her head aggrievedly. She was just curious and wanted to touch the other person's wings. I know, Linlin is a good kid. Ai Air smiled. Touching Linlin's head, he smiled and comforted her. But whether it's you or me, we are born special and different from ordinary people, so we must pay attention to everything. Linlin, you don't want to accidentally hurt your parents when you hug them, right? Speaking of this, he stomped his feet. For example, look. Boom, boom. The earth shook. The ground directly cracked and collapsed. An exaggerated huge crack appeared there, extending to the sea. A large amount of sea water kept pouring in. It makes people's scalp numb. Cold sweat broke out. Wow, so amazing. Looking at the huge crack, Linlin, who almost fell, had bright eyes. She also stood up and tried to stomp her feet. Boom! With a loud bang, the ground collapsed. The ground trembled constantly, and rocks flew. An amazing pit, covered with spiderweb-like cracks, appeared there. But it was far less exaggerated than Ai Air. Looking at the sunken ground under his feet, he looked at the crack that Ai Air had kicked, causing the seawater to flow back. Linlin tilted her head and scratched it innocently. I can't do it. Linlin is already very powerful. You see, we can probably kick the ground to crack with just a little effort. Ai Air touched her head. He already knew the simple way of getting along. This future for emperors is at the age of innocence and romance, and has a strong curiosity about everything. It's no different from other children who like to play tricks, and her mind is not bad. You can even say that she is kind-hearted. It's just that her own power is too terrifying and cannot be perfectly controlled. In this case, her existence is a disaster for ordinary people, and someone needs to guide her correctly. But as a natural monster, even the giants who are born with huge bodies and amazing strength are not qualified to guide her. Because, unlike Ai Air, who is also a natural monster, she also has a strange food syndrome. I have to admit that the runaway Linlin is indeed terrible. It is far beyond the ability of ordinary people to stop. However, Ai Air was confident that she could suppress it completely, so it was not a big problem. Looking at the innocent Linlin in front of her, Ai Air was very patient and guided her. Before you can fully control your power, don't touch others casually, understand? It is not so easy for natural monsters like them to perfectly control their own power. Even sometimes, when they're excited or careless, they subconsciously use force. Maybe it's nothing for them, and it's not considered as using force at all. But for others, it's equivalent to a disaster. For example, Ai Air only needs to hit it lightly or heavily, and it doesn't even count as a point of force. Let alone ordinary children. Even adult giant warriors who exercise regularly and have experienced hundreds of battles will be directly hit by him and fractured, and there may be some danger. He trained hard for a long time on the deserted island of Compote. He gradually adapted to the growing power. Yeah, I will try hard. Linlin nodded repeatedly. She never thought of hurting others. Besides, her parents haven't hugged her for a long time. Maybe he was afraid of her strength? Thinking of this, Charlotte Linlin couldn't help but get motivated again. She made up her mind to try to control her strength. She carefully picked the petals in front of her. Chapter 7. Unexpected News. Ai Air's Decision. Woo woo woo. The wind was cold. Snow was falling from the sky. 3 days had passed since Charlotte Linlin arrived. During this period, Ai Air stayed on the coast, except for occasionally returning to the village to ask the two elders Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard about cultivation. She took a fixed time to practice every day. Either she taught Linlin to do strength control training, or she played with Linlin here, and time passed quickly. In addition, the giant girl Gerd, who had a good relationship with him, would come from time to time. She played with Linlin there when he was training. It was Carmelo, the Holy Mother, who often paid attention to this special survivor of the Lunaria tribe. After discovering Linlin's existence, she was full of enthusiasm. She tried to lure her to the lamb's house again and again, but Ai Air directly rejected them. Well, it's snowing. Is Linlin cold? Looking at Linlin, who was only wearing a flowery dress, Ai Air asked with a smile. Of course, monsters like them would never feel cold. That's why, after entering this sea area, Linlin's parents didn't put on winter clothes for her. Hee, it's not cold at all. It was not easy to meet Ai Air who was willing to play with her, and she didn't have to worry about her accidentally hurting the other party too hard. Linlin had a lot of fun, and there were endless grilled fish and grilled sea king's meat. This made her very satisfied, and her chubby face was filled with smiles. But looking at the surging sea, Linlin bit her fingers in confusion. But why haven't Mom and Dad come back yet? Maybe they were delayed by something? Ai Air smiled, patted the snow on Linlin's body, touched her head, and said with a smile, I'm going to prepare lunch and catch 2 wild beasts. Linlin, wait for me here. We'll have barbecue later. Hey, barbecue. Hearing that there was barbecue for dinner, Linlin's eyes lit up and her saliva couldn't help flowing out. Nodding happily, okay, Ai Air and Linlin, I'm here. At this time, from afar, a clear child's voice came. Gerd ran over from a distance with a huge basket. I brought you delicious food, the most delicious samra. In the past 3 days, she has come to the coast more than once to look for Ai Air, and naturally met Linlin. At first, the giant girl was shocked. Unexpectedly, although this human girl is about the same size as herself and a little chubby, she looks harmless to people and animals, but her strength is greater than that of a giant. She is completely Ai Air's second, an absolute natural monster. However, under Ai Air's guidance, the two soon became good friends. And after a few days of hard work, Linlin's strength control training has gradually shown some results. In addition, Gerd is a giant after all, different from children of other races, and Ai Air is watching there. As long as they pay a little attention, they can still play together. Don't hurt each other easily. Really? Thank you so much. Gerd. Linlin's eyes lit up. His mouth was watering. Hearing that there was something delicious, the little greedy cat was extremely happy. Gerd, shouldn't you be training with Helding and the others? Ai Air raised his eyebrows, considering that the two highly prestigious leaders of the giant pirates, Blue Ogre and Red Ogre, were still alive. From the beginning, he had never thought of following in the footsteps of others and becoming the next generation leader of the giant pirates. Instead, he was prepared to build an unprecedentedly powerful Tato land kingdom from scratch, gathering all races on this sea, which was a veritable 10,000 kingdoms. Based on this, he continued to operate and develop, gradually expanded his territory, accumulated strength and foundation, and competed for world hegemony. The world government, which has firmly controlled this sea for hundreds of years, will be overthrown and replaced. As for the powerful fighting power of the giants, Ai will certainly not miss it. With his special relationship with Ai Erbafu, it is believed that it will not be difficult to recruit giants as fighting power in the future. Not to mention Gerd, the giant girl who likes to stick to him. Just wielding, a young giant star who is favored by the two giant elders Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard and is trained with emphasis. He has long been convinced by him and is willing to be his younger brother. I ran away secretly. Gerd panted. He winked at Ai playfully. He smiled and handed over the basket he was carrying. Here. Wow. Linlin couldn't wait to step forward and take the basket from Gerd. Looking at the fragrant Ai Erbafu specialty samra in it, his big eyes sparkled and his mouth was watering. This is the most delicious food in Ai Erbafu. Samra, Linlin. Gerd put his hands on his hips, full of pride. Linlin was overjoyed and said, "Thank you so much, Gerd. Then let's eat together." Ai smiled slightly. She didn't care too much about Gerd's thoughts. The lifespan of the giants is very long, more than 300 years old. Gerd, a giant girl, looks very young, about the same age as 5-year-old Charlotte Linlin, but in fact she is 3 or 4 years older than him, already 12 years old. Although she's not so young to fall in love. But every day, she faces those wild children like wielding, who are rough in appearance and sloppy in appearance. Naturally, she subconsciously wants to get close to him. Gurgle, delicious, so delicious. The three of them feasted there. Soon they finished all the samra in the basket. But Linlin still felt a little unsatisfied. "Linlin, if you like it, I will bring you more next time," Gerd said with a smile. Linlin was very happy and couldn't help herself. Hee, thank you. You are the best, Gerd. By the way, Ai, Gerd said directly to Ai, I heard from Oimo that Sister Carmelo seemed to have taken a dozen children out early in the morning. It is said that a kind-hearted person with a wealthy family and a very good reputation contacted her and expressed his desire to adopt some children. Oh, Ai raised his eyebrows. He has not returned to the village in the past few days. Did the old woman finally bear it? Yes, there are Tyne from the long-handed tribe, Locke from the long-legged tribe, Moss from the fur tribe, and Jane from the fishman tribe. Listening to Gerd's words, Ai stood up. Looking towards the sea, he chuckled and said, "You and Linlin wait here. I'll go over there to take a look." Take so many children of special races away at once. Carmelo is obviously preparing to sell them to the world government. He will not let the other party succeed easily. And even Linlin has been intercepted by him. There is no need to keep this old woman who is in the way. Ai you're not going to do anything bad, are you? Gerd blinked his big black eyes and tilted his head and said, "My parents said that it's a good thing that someone is willing to adopt those children. It's a good thing. I just want to take a look." Ai smiled. He didn't delay, asked Gerd to take care of Linlin, and then returned to the village directly. In the surprised eyes of the giants, he took a large bag of various fruits and flew away. Chapter 8 CP0 and Carmelite. Woo-woo. Sister, what? Didn't someone say someone would adopt us? Why are you locking us up in a cage? Wow, I don't want to go. Sister, save me. Please, sister, let me out. I won't dare to be naughty again. At this moment, a deserted island near Ai Erbafu, a ship flying the flag of the world government, is docked on the coast. A group of children from the Lamb's home, aged a few to early teens, are locked in a cage, struggling and crying there. There are humans, long-handed people, long-legged people, fur people, and other races. They're being watched by those CP agents in suits and leather shoes, armed with guns. It's so noisy, you little brats. Not far away, Sister Carmelo is holding a big box, standing with several figures in suits and leather shoes and wearing masks. At this moment, the Virgin Mary looked horrible, and she had lost her usual kindness. With a sneer, she completely let go of her scruples no longer pretending to be kind, and stared at the children she had just sold to the world government with great disgust. She spit out the cigarette in her mouth, did not hide her inner disgust, and said viciously, "I have been patient with you for a long time. You make a fuss every other day. If you were not worth some money, I would have strangled you. The garbage that no one wants." Sister, for a while, these children who originally respected and relied on this nun. One by one, they stared at this nun who was completely different from usual with tears in their eyes, and were all shocked by the other's devilish face. "Hey, there's another top-quality lamb." Galmero licked his lips, his eyes full of greed and passion. "After finishing the last deal, I won't have to face you little brats anymore, and I can retire comfortably." Top-quality lamb? Hearing this, the CP0 official in a white suit and a mask raised his eyebrows, looked at Galmero curiously, and asked in a deep voice, "Yamaba, you mean? The kid with the blood of the Lunaria tribe and the giant tribe? If we continue to leave it alone, that guy's indeed a huge threat." Galmero once sold them a piece of news from the world government at a high price. About half a year ago, a half-giant kid with the blood of the Lunaria tribe came to Ai Erbafu. He was an invulnerable monster with infinite strength. It is said that he also has the rare ability of the Zoan fantasy beast. CP0 attaches great importance to this news. But Ai Erbafu, as the gathering place of the giants, is also the world's first power, which is too special. Considering that the world government had planned and staged a good show with this mountain woman a few years ago, the relationship with the giants had finally eased. Over the years, some giant warriors have joined the Marine for the world government, and they cannot cause hatred and dissatisfaction among the giants at this time. Even if they knew that there were remnants of the Lunaria tribe who were wanted by the world government, hiding in Ai Erbafu, they could not directly send Marine or CP agents to break in and arrest them. And this mountain woman was obviously unwilling to get only the 100 million Baileys. In order to get more bounties from the world government, she has been trying to lure people out so that the world government can arrest them. But the little ghost of the Lunaria tribe seemed to have a mind far beyond that of ordinary children and was strongly wary of him. Repeated plans failed. Moreover, it is said that he already has quite terrible strength and the ability to fly, and he cannot alarm the giants, so he can't use force at all. The CP0 members had received death orders from above. They were worried about how to catch the other party next. "I don't know if you're lucky or I am lucky." Galmero laughed strangely and said, "In the past few days, Ai Erbafu has another special problem child. Although he is a human, his body size is the same as that of a little giant. Just like the hybrid of the Lunaria and the giants that I mentioned to you before, he is also an out-and-out natural monster. I once saw her on the coast, cracking the ground with one foot, and even slapping a wild boar that ran out of the forest and was bigger than the giants to death with one slap. 5 years old. She is only 5 years old. In the past 3 days, she naturally discovered the existence of Charlotte Linlin, and from Gerd, she learned that the girl was actually a natural monster like Ai Er. She was secretly paying attention for 3 days and witnessed the other party's exaggerated performance with her own eyes, which surprised and delighted her. But what made Carmelo secretly hate was, obviously, the child was abandoned by his parents and sent to be raised by himself, the Virgin Mary, but he didn't expect that Ai Er, the BD kid, would directly intercept him without martial ethics. She tried to negotiate again and again, wanting to bring the girl to the lamb's house. As a result, she was directly rejected by the other party. What? The pupils of the CP0 agent shrank sharply. He believed that Carmelo would not lie. After all, the money of the world government is not so easy to cheat. However, at the age of 5, he has such an exaggerated performance. What kind of talent is this? Unfortunately, I was a step late and was intercepted by that Lunaria brat. Speaking of this, Carmelo gritted her teeth, but then she showed a sinister look and grinned. But give me some more time. I can definitely lure them all over. Really? The CP0 official nodded. Then it depends on your performance. If it is really such a natural monster, it is worth spending more money to buy it. If it is cultivated as a marine, It will be either an admiral or a marshal in the future, and if it is cultivated as a CP, it will definitely become the strongest shield to protect celestial dragons. But the price must be doubled. Carmelo took the opportunity to ask for a price. After all, that is the best product I have never seen in my decades of work. This, don't worry, I will apply to the higher authorities. Wait, what is that? An angel with wings? No, his wings are black. He is flying over. At this time, some sharp-eyed agents suddenly shouted, pointing at the distant sky. Some were shocked and lost their voices. Instantly attracted the attention of Carmelo and those CP0 senior agents, and they all looked over subconsciously. That is, several CP0 agents in the lead. Looking at the figure flying at an astonishing speed, their pupils shrank sharply. It turned out to be a boy with black wings, like a fallen angel in a myth, and his body was as huge as a giant child of the same age. Yes, it's him, Kukulkan Ai Erbafu. Carmelo was also startled, but then he was ecstatic and full of excitement. She grabbed the CP0 agent and yelled, "I lured him here. You have to pay me. Don't try to evade the debt. Ai Erbafu, help us, we've been cheated." As she spoke, her whole face changed. She threw away the suitcase in her arms, waved her hands at Ai Erbafu, who was getting closer and closer, and yelled hysterically, "These children have been locked up by them." Chapter 9, sister. I want to tell you something from the bottom of my heart. Woo woo woo. The hurricane kept coming. The black wings suddenly fluttered. Ai Erbafu was like a legendary fallen angel, moving very fast. Soon he flew to the island and came to the coast. He had already found out where Carmelo was trading with the world government, on this deserted island not far from Ai Erbafu. Ai Erbafu, hurry up, stop them. Carmelo ran up, full of anxiety. He grabbed Ai Erbafu's clothes and shouted there. "They are human traffickers. We were deceived, and the children were all captured by them." None. The children locked in the cage. They were also a little shocked. Was a nun deceived? But one by one, as if they had seen a savior, they cried and shouted to Ai Erbafu for help. "Ai Erbafu, boss, save us. These bad guys locked us up." They knew. How powerful is this Ai Erbafu boss, who is about the same age as them, but has an exaggerated body size. Even the adult giant warriors were no match for him. He lifted him up easily and threw him into the air like a rag doll. He would definitely be able to defeat these bad guys. Gray hair, black wings, flames behind the head. It is indeed the legendary Lunaria tribe. This is the first time I have seen it. It is different from the rumors. The skin color is not brown. Is it because it is a mixture of giants? This is a criminal tribe wanted by the world government. We must not let him get away. At this time, a large number of CP agents raised their guns and aimed at the uninvited guest with unfriendly eyes, full of vigilance. He is really an incredible guy. The leading CP0 official also ignored Carmelo's acting. Looking directly at Ai Erbafu, he said coldly, "World government received information that a survivor of the Lunaria tribe was hiding in Ai Erbafu, but it has been delayed in arresting you because it is the territory of the giants. I didn't expect that you actually ran out by yourself." In his opinion, although the other party is indeed very unusual, but they are senior agents of CP0, and their strength is not comparable to that of ordinary CP agents. Just prevent the other party from using the flying ability to escape, and it may not be impossible to catch them. Really, Ai Erbafu chuckled. He ignored these CP0 agents, looking down at Carmelo, who had perfect acting skills and a face full of anxiety. He smiled and said, "Sister, I also want to say something from the heart to you." At this time, he was still acting in a false manner. The other party was afraid that CP0 would not be able to catch him and run back to Ai Erbafu directly. He was afraid that if he was not careful, her identity as a human trafficker that she had been hiding hard would be exposed, right? I have to say that he was quite cautious. No wonder she has been able to play the role of the Virgin Mary for so many years. She has deceived countless people and has never been exposed. Carmelo was stunned when he heard Ai Erbafu's words. But the next moment, Ai Erbafu, who was as big as a little giant, grabbed her with one hand. She lifted her up into the air. Ai Air, what are you doing? Carmelo's face changed drastically. The increasing power made him look painful and struggled desperately. Okay, stop acting in front of me. Ai Air looked indifferent and said sarcastically, do you think I don't know that you sold these children to the world government? Human traffickers, Shamlao. What? Carmelo's face changed drastically, and the CP0 on the opposite side was also surprised. Unexpectedly, Carmelo's identity has been exposed. She kept struggling and trying to deny. What are you talking about? Let me go. You want to retire and live in seclusion after selling me and Linlin to the world government. Ai looked down at Carmelo and sneered. Sorry, hell is your final destination. Damn, you actually know this? Seeing this, Carmelo's face changed. No longer pretending, he hurriedly shouted to the CP0 agents. What are you still doing? Save me, Katja. However, the CP0 agents had not yet rushed out. Ai had no intention of showing mercy and suddenly squeezed hard. Carmelo's mouth was bleeding and he kept screaming. He didn't even have time to activate the power of the soul fruit, and he directly crushed all the bones in his body and turned them into meat paste. His head tilted and he lost his breath. His eyes were wide open and he died with his eyes open. He was killed so aggrievedly. A lot of blood splashed. It made people's scalps numb. Nun. Ai Erbafu killed a nun. Witnessing this scene, even the children locked in the cage were stunned. Obviously, they didn't expect that Ai Air, who was always kind, would suddenly kill the nuns so cruelly. Their eyes were wide open, full of fear. They were so scared that their faces turned pale and they burst into tears. Carmelo, the leading CP0 agent, was shocked and angry. I didn't expect the other party to be so decisive. Carmelo was killed before I could stop him. The other monster has not been tricked out yet. It's still useful to keep this woman. Without hesitation, he stepped hard. He rushed out like lightning. Shave. Finger pistol. Chaos. The CP0 team leader at the head. He rushed to Ai Air in an instant. The index finger of his right hand became as black as ink and turned into an afterimage. Some people shot out like bullets and stabbed Ai Air continuously. What? However, the next moment, he couldn't help but change his face. Ai Air's body was as tough as iron and could not be shaken at all. Even if his finger pistol, wrapped with armament Haki, could easily pierce rocks and even steel plates, he still couldn't tear his skin. Until this moment, he clearly understood. To what extent was the invulnerable monster that Carmelo said exaggerated? The heart was awed, but the opponent had no defense at all. Are you tickling me? Ai Air did not dodge or evade. Looking down at the opponent, he stomped his right foot suddenly. Boom! The ground shook and collapsed. Many CP agents were unable to stand steadily and fell directly with bloody heads. Swish, swish! Green seedlings broke out of the soil. They turned into huge vines, and the tops were like sharp spears breaking through the air. They stabbed the CP0 team leader fiercely, trying to penetrate him. The CP0 team leader's face changed. He retreated immediately. Iron body steel. At the same time, the other two CP0 agents saw this and attacked together. At the moment of rushing out, both of them were awe-inspiring. Their blood flowed faster, and their bodies were as hard as steel. They punched Ai Air fiercely. Don't know whether to live or die. Ai Air's face was indifferent. A hint of scarlet flashed in his eyes. The special observation Haki born with this ability had already predicted their trajectory. He clenched his fists and suddenly crushed the atmosphere. He hammered out violently. Bang! Destroyed everything. Two figures screamed. The two overly careless CP0 agents were ruthlessly blown away like cannonballs. They crashed straight into the hillside behind. Boom! Boom! What? Chapter 10 Conquerors? The power of Quetzalcoatl, Lord Lark. Lord Mox. Damn this monster. Everyone shoot. Kill him. For a moment, all the CP agents present were shocked. Looking at Ai Air, who easily blew away two CP0 agents, some couldn't believe it. Without waiting for Ai Air to continue to attack, they all raised their guns and aimed at the other party, and pulled the trigger without hesitation. They fired directly at the monster of the Lunaria tribe in front of them. Bang, bang. The sound of gunfire continued. Dense bullets continued to pour down, but a large number of projectiles continuously hit Ai Er's extremely tough skin, which was like a steel balloon. Those bullets that were squeezed and deformed were all bounced out. It couldn't hurt him at all. Boom, boom. At the same time, sporadic rockets broke through the air and exploded there. Fire shot up to the sky, and thick smoke billowed. Roar, a loud roar. Deafening roar of the beast. A terrifying wave, accompanied by fierce wind pressure, suddenly spread out. Woo, plop, plop. The amazing hurricane kept raging. It swept away with countless rocks and plants. The CP agents and the frightened children of the Lamb's house had their eyes rolled back and foamed at the mouth. One after another, they fell there. Is this Conqueror's Haki? The CP-0 Captain Knock Gates was shocked, but then he suddenly widened his eyes and looked at the huge monster that rose into the sky from the billowing smoke in disbelief and opened his mouth. He couldn't help but sweat. What kind of monster is this? Woo! Gusts of wind raged. It made it difficult for people to open their eyes. The huge beast's shadow pressed the originally blue sky and dimmed it directly. Roar! Its head is serpentine, with golden vertical snake pupils, which are extremely attractive. But the bird-like crest feathers growing from the top are like wearing a feather helmet with horns, full of Haki. Behind the fierce snake head, there's also a ball of fierce flames, burning there. The snake body is hundreds of meters long and unimaginably large, covered with green scales, gorgeous feathers, and surrounded by amazing lightning. It also has two pairs of huge wings. One pair is black, and the other pair is turquoise. It just flapped its wings and rushed into the sky, looking down. It was the legendary Quetzalcoatl. It was shocking. What? The cold snake pupils looked down at the CP-0 team leader below. Ai Er's childish and cold voice echoed in the sky. You, the loyal dog of celestial dragons, don't you want to catch me? As a natural monster, it is destined to stand at the top of the sea. These high-level CP-0 agents are not weak, but they are obviously not good enough in front of him. After all, his strength has far surpassed those battle-hardened giant warriors. Even if the Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral is hit by one blow, he will be seriously injured if not killed. If it were Charlotte Linlin, although she has powerful strength and amazing defense, she is just an ordinary person who has not been specially trained and cannot fully control her own strength, so she naturally cannot hit the opponent. But Ai Er is different. He was hunted by the world government as soon as he was born. Other children just staggered and learned to speak. He had to fight and kill the enemy constantly for survival under the guidance of his parents. At the age of 3, because of the death of his parents, he was stimulated to awaken Conqueror's Haki and recovered his past memories. Not only did he train himself strictly every day, but he also began to consciously exercise his innate observation Haki and Conqueror's Haki. Furthermore, although Charlotte Linlin is a natural monster, she is only an upgraded human after all. Ai Er is not only a few years older, but also has both giant and Lunaria bloodlines. With long-term and unremitting training, her already extremely strong physique has been further enhanced by the long-term subtle increase and strengthening of the ability of the mythical beast species Quetzalcoatl form. It can be said to be a monster among monsters. In the past 6 months, he has been practicing under the guidance of 2 giant elders, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard. Although he has not yet mastered the highest combat skills of the giants, even in normal human form, he has already possessed quite amazing combat power. The 2 of them are naturally incomparable. Woo, without hesitation, Ai Er, who is transformed into the feathered serpent god, locked onto the CP-0 captain and launched an attack directly. The huge wings intertwined with lightning suddenly flapped. Swish, swish. The fierce hurricane was unstoppable. One after another, huge wind blades visible to the naked eye cut out there, continuously bombarded and killed. Boom, boom, destroyed everything. The earth was directly torn and cut open mercilessly. leaving behind one after another shocking, bottomless huge cuts. The CP0 captain was terrified and could only rely on observation Haki's prediction to dodge in a panic. At this time, a shrill scream was heard. A hillside more than 10 or 20 meters high. It was directly torn and cut by the extremely sharp wind blade. Even though the two CP0 senior agents were in the state of six-style iron body before, their bodies were as hard as steel and their defense was amazing. But they were hit hard by Ai Erbafu's power, which was far more terrifying than that of the giants, and they were still directly injured. I don't know how many ribs were broken. They were covered in blood and had serious injuries. They just endured the pain and tried to support themselves, staggering out of the ruins. As a result, they saw a large number of wind blades coming through the air. There was no way to dodge them all, and they were directly cut in half mercilessly. Blood was dripping. It was terrible. Don't be so arrogant, beat D. CP0 team leader Gates rushed up. His right foot tore the air fiercely and kicked out violently. Tempest kick Londuan. Swish. The sound of breaking through the air was whistling. The crescent-shaped slash, which was tens or hundreds of meters long and light green, came out directly. Following the gap of the wind blade, it fiercely slashed at the huge Quetzalcoatl in the sky. Roar! However, the huge Quetzalcoatl roared. He did not dodge or evade at all, and his 4 pairs of wings suddenly flapped. Carrying strong wind pressure, he rushed down like lightning. Bang! Rushing forward, collided directly with the fierce slash. With the scales that were more exaggerated than steel, the huge head swung violently and actually knocked the huge slash away. It hit the sea surface in the distance fiercely, exploding huge water splashes. It left a deep trench where it slowly recovered, and the Quetzalcoatl, with its eerie scales, was unscathed. There was not even a trace. It was so fierce. It made people scalp numb. Shave. Seeing this scene, Gates changed color. He stomped his feet hard, turned around, and ran out, wanting to evacuate here. This Lunaria monster is definitely not something he can fight against, and he must report the news to the world government as soon as possible. He is not even 10 years old yet, but he already has such terrifying power. If he is left alone and allowed to grow up, he will inevitably become a major concern for the world government. Unfortunately, even the din mushy he put in his pocket, it was stunned by the previous conqueror's Haki. It can't be awakened in a short time. Want to escape? The huge Quetzalcoatl fell to the ground. The powerful observation Haki had already locked it. Ai took in the other party's thoughts and said coldly with sarcasm on his face, "Innocent, do you think you can escape? The tree world is coming." Chapter 11. Life returned? Dice fruit? Swish, swish. The countless plants and trees around seemed to have life. A large number of shrubs and weeds grew at an astonishing speed, turning into huge tree trunks and vines, just like a conscious lion majesty, continuously swarming in. What? Gates's face changed. He dodged and moved continuously. The next moment, he jumped up there and kicked out with both legs. Tempest kick, chaos. Swish, swish, swish. A series of light green slashes broke through the air, directly cut off a large number of trees and vines that kept attacking. Moonwalk, snap, snap. He didn't hesitate, and his whole body moved quickly, stepping on the atmosphere and rushing into the sky. But those trees and vines still grew at an astonishing speed and rose from the ground, relentlessly chasing after them. Damn, the other party seemed to be able to predict the future, knowing where he was going to move and where he would appear. Countless trees and vines continued to grow, blocking and intercepting him there in advance. Then, a large number of vines were like endless lion majesty, ruthlessly flooding in. Swish! At this moment, Gates's face changed drastically. He was tripped by several vines flying over his right foot. Then a large number of vines came densely, submerged his entire body, tightly trapped. Swish! Moreover, there were a large number of sharp vines and thorns gathering around him and close at hand. As long as he dared to move, these plants would immediately turn into extremely sharp spears, stabbing at him all at once. and piercing him into a hornet's nest. It made people's scalps numb. I got you. The huge Quetzalcoatl. It flapped its wings in the blink of an eye. The sharp fangs were extremely ferocious and shining with cold light. It was fierce and looked down at the other party, full of an indescribable sense of oppression. It made people tremble and shudder. Damn, Gates struggled desperately, but he still couldn't break free. These plants were much tougher than normal vines. He was horrified. Is this really a 9-year-old child? It was simply a monster. A futile resistance. The huge figure kept shrinking. It turned back to human form, but the 5-meter-tall figure was still unattainable. In Gates's shrinking eyes, Ai Er's huge right hand stretched out and pressed directly on his head. The innate special observation Haki was activated. His memory was read instantly. Well, is this the 6th style? SOSO. Ai Er closed his eyes slightly and chuckled. But the return of life is not bad. He didn't plan to kill the CP0 captain directly from the beginning, but deliberately kept him alive. Because it is clear that this guy, as a senior agent of CP0, must have mastered the training methods of 6 styles and Haki, even regardless of whether he has learned life return, a special secret that is said to be able to inject consciousness into various parts of the body and thus further control oneself. He should have tried to practice it. 6 styles, for a monster like Ai Er, is not a great physical skill. It cannot be said to be completely useless, but can only be regarded as icing on the cake. However, the secret of life return is extraordinary. He values it very much. If it is practiced to ultimate, maybe it can truly, perfectly master every part of the body. Even exercise the internal organs with the weakest defense. Fully tap into one's potential. But I still have to thank you for sending me a devil fruit from 1,000 miles away. That's right. Ai Er learned from the other party's memory. He learned that they were on the world government ship. There was a devil fruit that was found by chance by a spy in the second half of the New World. They were going to escort it to the holy land of Mariehua and hand it over to the world government. The result was obviously that Ai Er would get it for nothing. What? Gates' pupils shrank sharply. Cold sweat came out, and he looked at the other party in horror. What did you do to me, you guy? 6 styles? Life return? He even knew about the devil fruit that CP had just found. This monster suddenly mentioned these. Did he read his memory through some special ability? I'm not interested in solving puzzles for the enemy. You might as well go to hell and guess. Ai Er sneered there. He snapped his fingers and turned away, his tone full of coldness. The lackeys of the world government all deserve to die. Chi. The next moment, a large number of wooden vines, the tips of which were like spears. All of them pierced through. Armament Haki, our iron body. The CP0 captain was unwilling to sit there and wait for death, so he used iron body defense. He even covered his body with armament Haki and tried his best to break free. But how could Ai Er not notice the other party's thoughts? Hiss. He left without looking back, his body intertwined with amazing electric light. Visible electric currents intertwined and flashed violently, rushing along the wooden vines that were entangled with Gates. In an instant, his whole body was charred and numb. His hair stood up, and he was in great pain. Chi. Then, accompanied by more terrifying screams. In a blink of an eye, the CP0 captain was directly pierced into a hornet's nest. Blood was dripping, and it was horrible to look at. It was not just this CP0 captain. Those CP agents who fainted were no exception. Each of them was mercilessly pierced by the sharp vines, and they were covered in blood. If it weren't for his good luck over the years, even if he was still alive, he would not be able to escape the fate of his fellow beast pirates' flame disaster, Gene, in the future. In all likelihood, he has been used as an experimental subject, locked up like a little white mouse, tortured in various ways, and subjected to various inhuman experiments. In the final analysis, his parents can be said to have been killed by the world government. How could Ai Er show mercy to these celestial dragons' lackeys? Swish! After dealing with these CP agents, Ai Er opened the backpack he brought with him, which was full of various fruits. Because he knew very well that Carmelo was the user of the Paramecia soul fruit, and he didn't want to waste such a good ability. It is said that after the demon fruit power dies, its ability will be directly attached to other fruits and regenerated randomly. So Ai wanted to try and see if he could recover the ability of the Paramecia soul fruit next. Even if he failed, there would be no loss. Is it true that we failed to recover it? A moment, looking at the bananas, apples, mangoes, pomegranates, and other fruits that were scattered all over the ground, but did not change. Ai was not too disappointed. He did not hold much hope in the first place. However, in order not to miss any possibility, he still spent half a day searching the island inside and out, and even the world government ship. It was not until the afternoon that he gave up completely. Forget it, if I can't find it, then I can't find it. Anyway, it's not a waste of harvest. Looking at the setting sun, Ai shrugged and couldn't help but smile. Paramecia dice fruit? Not too bad. He was always reluctant to waste food easily, and he ate up all the fruits he brought with him in a few bites. He left Carmelo with a suitcase full of Bailey, the devil fruit he found on the world government ship, and even found a pair of sea stone handcuffs. He put them all into the sack. Moreover, the location of the Carmelite nun's treasure. He had read her memory before and figured it out. This mountain lady gave him a big surprise. Chapter 12. Revealing the truth. The true face of the Virgin Mary roar, Ai Erbafu. A beast roar echoed in the sky. It startled many giants and children of the Lamb House. A huge monster with an exaggerated body size, hundreds of meters long, flew over in their horrified eyes. Don't be nervous. I am Ai Ai. Is this the legendary Quetzalcoatl? Is it Ai's ability? This is the first time I've seen it. Hearing Ai's familiar voice, those giant warriors who were holding weapons and alert couldn't help but widen their eyes, but also relaxed. Looking at the majestic behemoth, some were amazed. Clang, clang, dang, dang. One by one, huge iron cages were gently dropped on the ground. Inside were children who were sold by the nuns and fainted by Conqueror's Haki and had not yet woken up. They are Moss, Yuden, Locke, Time. What's going on? Didn't Carmelo just give them to someone to raise? The alarmed giant warriors gathered together. Looking at the children of various races locked in cages, they quickly recognized them. They were all children from the Lamb's house. They often saw these naughty problem children making a lot of noise in the village. But as long as they didn't make too much noise for the sake of Sister Carmelo, the Virgin Mary, most of these giant warriors would turn a blind eye and forgive them. Ai, what's going on? The two giant elders, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, were also alarmed. Looking at the huge Quetzalcoatl in the sky, they were a little surprised and doubtful. The face became solemn. That's right, two elders. The huge body of the Quetzalcoatl, which was hundreds of meters long, was shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. Ai, who turned into a human form, flapped his wings and flew down. It landed in front of Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard. I heard Gerd say that this morning, Sister Carmela wanted to give these children to others to raise, and I felt something was wrong. Ai looked serious, looked at the two giant elders, and said in a deep voice, I went directly to the nearby island to check it out. I found that she didn't give them to good families to raise, but sold all these children with good qualifications to the world government. What? Impossible Dash, are you kidding? This joke is not funny at all. Ai, do you know what you're talking about? Sister Carmela, she is the Virgin Mary. Yes. How could a nun go along with the world government for money? Hearing this, the giant warriors present, all were shocked, and some lost their voices in disbelief. Some people looked at Ai angrily and shouted there. Everyone be quiet. Mountain Beard Gerald, the leader, waved his hand, signaling others to be quiet. I took a look at the children locked in the iron cage. Although they had fainted, they looked terrified and their faces were pale. Obviously, they were frightened. He couldn't help but frown, staring at Ai in front of him. I believe you're not a kid who jokes casually, but this matter is too big. It's hard for us to believe you. Waterfall Beard Jorel stroked his beard. His face was a little uncertain and asked in a deep voice, Do you have any evidence? Ai where's Carmelo? Ai said bluntly. I'm very sorry. She is the ability user of the soul fruit. It may be troublesome to keep her. To prevent accidents, I killed her directly. What? A whole dash. Unforgivable. What did you do to the nun? Hearing Ai say that Sister Carmela was killed, the giant warriors present all changed their faces, looking at Ai in disbelief, shocked and angry. Especially the members of the giant pirates, who were publicly executed and rescued at the time. They were full of gratitude to Carmelo. For a moment, they were extremely angry and subconsciously rushed to Ai. Stop it, calm down. Mountain Beard, Gerald, and Waterfall Beard, Jorel, shouted there. His face was more solemn than ever before, and he stopped these angry giant warriors. Master Mountain Beard, Master Waterfall Beard, my two lords, this is no longer a child's prank. The nun saved our lives. She is recognized by the whole world as the Virgin Mary, who has saved countless children. How could she sell these children to the world government? The giant soldiers who were once saved by Carmelo were full of excitement, but they did not dare to disobey the orders of the two giant elders, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard. They could not help but clench their fists, and some of them were angry and glared at Ai. The nun is a Virgin Mary respected by the whole world. She has been doing good deeds all her life, saving and taking in countless homeless children, and after training them one by one, she sent them to families with good financial conditions to raise them. Ai kept saying that the nun was trading with the world government. She traded children like a human trafficker and killed the other party directly. This is not a farce between children, and it can be easily forgiven. Ai, I believe you will not lie. Mountain Beard looked at Ai helplessly and said in a deep voice, but you have gone too far. We have known Carmelo for many years and have been observing her. We have never found any abnormal behavior. Waterfall Beard Jorel said seriously. Maybe there is a misunderstanding here. They are experienced and naturally will not be easily swayed by emotions compared to other giant warriors. After all, Ai is also a natural warrior with half-giant blood. He has no special conflicts with Carmelo on weekdays and thinks there may be some misunderstandings here. It's just that this little guy is too decisive. He actually killed Carmelo, who is also regarded as the Virgin Mary by the giants. This is obviously not something that can be revealed in a few words. Both adults know me. If there's really no evidence, I will not do anything reckless. Facing doubts, Ai was well prepared. He took out a large stack of information directly from the sack on his back. He handed it to the two respected giant elders in front of him and introduced. This is the information I found on the world government ship. It not only contains Carmelo's personal information, but also the previous transaction records between this Virgin Mary and them, and the list of children to be sold this time. And when these children wake up, you can interrogate them. They should have seen the true face of this Virgin Mary. In addition, I found a secret compartment under Carmelo's bed. It contains her transaction records with the world government over the years, as well as all the information of children who have been sold in the past. I think these evidences are enough to prove the truth. What? Chapter 13. Angry Giant's Soul Fruit? Mountain Beard in the village of Ai Erbafu. Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard took the information from Ai and read it carefully. The expression kept changing, and it was a little uncertain. Carmelo, is he the notorious human trafficker in the underground world? No other reason. The human trafficker Mountain Beard has committed many evil deeds and is too famous in the dark world. As early as decades ago, he had specialized in the business of child trafficking. He kidnapped a large number of children through fraud and other means, making countless people hate him. So much so that the two elders of the giant tribe, even if they have lived in Ai Erbafu for a long time, have heard of each other's name. These materials, it turns out to be a transaction list with the world government. Soon, a giant warrior called the children of the Lamb House. Let them pry open the bedroom door of Carmelo, which was usually locked for fear of these troublemakers breaking in, and search under the bed. Sure enough, they found a secret compartment. A locked iron box was taken out from it. After the iron box was violently destroyed by the giants, it was found that it was indeed a list of transactions between Carmelo and the world government in the past, as well as the information of the children who were sold. Obviously, the other party kept these because they were afraid that they would be abandoned by the world government one day. Damn it, have we been deceived? No doubt. I have all the memories of these children. I didn't expect that they were all sold to the world government by the nuns. Damn it. But isn't Carmelo the Virgin Mary? Why did she do that? She risked her life to save us who were to be publicly executed by Marine. No, I don't believe it. The evidence is conclusive. Some giant warriors have changed their attitudes. They believed Ai Er's words and found that they were deceived by Carmelo, and some were furious. And those giant warriors who were saved from the butcher knife of Marine by Carmelo and were full of gratitude to him. They held their heads in disbelief, unwilling to believe it. Darcy, Ellen, I can answer your questions about this. Looking at the part of the giant pirates who have always been full of respect and gratitude for Carmelo and firmly believe in her Virgin Mary image, some of them find it difficult to accept. Ai Er was not angry, but crossed her arms and said bluntly, "Before I killed Carmelo, I accidentally learned an amazing news. Back then, she stopped Marine from publicly executing some members of the giant pirates. It was a conspiracy created by the world government and her. It was a good show to deceive the favor of the giants and want to gain the combat power of the giants. What? Is it true? That thing was a conspiracy of the world government? Hearing the truth revealed by Ai Er, including the two former leaders of the giant pirates, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard. All the giants were shocked. Some were shocked inexplicably. When you were young, both of you were famous figures on the sea. I believe you have dealt with the world government and the Marine. I don't need to say how cunning and insidious they are. Ai Er looked at Mountain Beard Gerald and Waterfall Beard Jorl and said in a deep voice, "Some things are unreasonable when you think about them. With the usual arrogance and tyranny of the world government and the Marine, how could they be moved by a few words from an insignificant nun? Listen to her opinions, and release the giant pirates who were to be publicly executed in front of the whole world? Isn't this letting them slap themselves in the face?" And not long after this incident, the first giant Marine Vice Admiral Giant John was born. This Carmelite nun, who the world government did not hesitate to hype and packaged as the Virgin Mary, played a lot of matchmaking and made a lot of efforts. After that, other giant warriors began to join the Marine one after another. Boom! Ai Er's words. It was like a bombshell. It shocked the giant warriors. Even Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard were shocked and looked uglier than ever. They clenched their fists tightly, veins popping out. They were extremely angry. Damn world government. Damn Carmelo. So, we giants have been played around by those bastards all along. Damn it. We can't let them go. And at this time, Ai Er didn't know that in the forest on the coast. Linlin, don't run too far. Gerd, look what I found. Linlin, who was playing with Gerd, ran over excitedly. At some point, she had a strange fruit that was slightly larger than a thumb in her hand, and showed it to this little giant friend like a treasure. Gerd's eyes widened, looking at the strange fruit with strange patterns in Linlin's hand, full of surprise. I've never seen such a fruit. If Ai Er was here, he would be shocked to find out. This strange-looking fruit with strange spiral patterns is exactly the same as the Paramecia soul fruit in Carmelo's memory. He tried to recover it, but failed. Unexpectedly, it was reborn here, and it was found by Linlin, who was playing hide-and-seek with Gerd in the forest. This fruit looks so beautiful. It must be delicious. Holding the strange fruit, Linlin squinted her eyes and said happily, "Gerd, let's eat it together." Although the elders taught that unknown fruits should not be eaten randomly. But looking at this strange fruit, Gerd still couldn't help but be moved, because the fruit seemed to have a strange magic, as if it was tempting them all the time, making people want to eat it. However, they haven't made up their minds yet. Linlin had already split the fruit and stuffed half of it into her mouth. Don't hesitate. Let's eat together. Although she is very greedy, but for her friends, she is always willing to share. Gerd's eyes widened. Then, Linlin couldn't wait to throw the half of the fruit into her mouth. PFFT, PFFT. It's so disgusting. Eh. The two girls looked at each other with bitter faces. Immediately, they all laughed heartlessly and happily. Chapter 14 Ai Air. I want to build a utopia, woo-woo. Help! Boss Ai Air is so scary. The nun was crushed by him. Soon, the children who were almost sold woke up. They were terrified and hugged the giants. They cried loudly. Good children don't cry, it's safe now. Some women of the giant tribe comforted them. Mountain Beard Gerald frowned and asked softly, Children, tell me, did Carmelo sell you to the world government? Yes, the nun has become so fierce. She asked those guys in suits to put us in cages. Those people gave her a lot of money. Hearing this, the giants no longer had any doubts. They gnashed their teeth at Carmelo and the world government. They were furious. What a shame. At the same time, they were furious. Waterfall Beard Jorl covered his face, feeling a little ashamed. We have lived for more than 300 years, but we were fooled by the world government and a human trafficker. My lords, this is not your fault. It is because the world government and Carmelo are too cunning. Yes, those bastards are too hateful. We must not let them go. We must reveal the truth to the world and let everyone see the true face of the world government. The giant warriors comforted the two elders. At the same time, they all gritted their teeth and shouted indignantly, My lords, it is unlikely that we can reveal the truth to the world. Ai Er was sitting next to them. He directly poured a bucket of cold water on these giant warriors and reminded them, the world government controls countless news media, and the public opinion on the sea has always been influenced by them. At that time, the despicable world government may turn the tables and slander you, the giant warriors of Ai Erbafu, for colluding with me, the remnant of the Lunaria tribe, or directly declare to the public that it was you who killed Sister Carmelo and deliberately threw dirty water on this great Virgin Mary and the world government. You must be fully prepared for this. The public opinion on this sea is ultimately in the hands of the world government. Hundreds of years of rule have made the high and righteous image of the world government and marine deeply rooted in the minds of countless people. Except for a small number of more sober people. Those people around the world may not believe the truth revealed by the giants. Instead, they may be misled by the world government and believe that the giants colluded with him, the remnant of the Lunaria tribe, to kill the Virgin Mary Carmelo and deliberately slander the world government. However, with Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, the two most respected warriors in the world, and their extremely high prestige in the eyes of giants all over the world, it is believed that it is enough to make most giant warriors recognize the true face of the world government. Ai Er, you are right. Hearing this, looking at the calm and wise Ai Er, Mountain Beard Gerald, who had dealt with the world government countless times and was accustomed to the despicable behavior of these guys, took a deep breath and nodded helplessly. This is indeed the usual trick of the world government. If it is a straightforward battle, the giant warriors are very good at it. But when it comes to these conspiracies and tricks, they are obviously no match for the shameless people of the world government. Otherwise, they would not be deceived by the drama directed by Carmelo and the world government. Not only were they kept in the dark, but they also foolishly supported and respected each other. Let them open the Lamb's house in Ai Erbafu. However, we can't let them get too complacent. We still need to reveal the truth to the world. Waterfall Beard Jorl stroked his long beard and said in a deep voice, At the very least, we can't let the giants be deceived and used by them anymore. Yes, we can't just let this account go like this. Mountain Beard nodded. His cloudy eyes revealed a blazing fire. The glory of the Ai Erbafu warriors must not be tarnished. Next, their giant tribe will naturally not give up and will gather their forces to retaliate directly. Even if they will not go to war with the world government, they will never let those guys continue to be proud. However, there is still a problem at the moment. Speaking of this, Mountain Beard, who was a little troubled, held his fluffy beard, pointing to the crying and helpless children in the Lamb's house. The problem now is, what should we do with the children of the Lamb's house? This happened. These children are obviously not suitable to stay in Ai Erbafu. These Ai Erbafu giant warriors are not good men and women. It was because they believed in Carmelo, the Virgin Mary, that they allowed the other party to establish the Lamb's house here. Looking at these children from all over the world, these giant warriors will subconsciously remember that they were deceived by Carmelo, the hateful woman, and the world government, and trampled on the glory of Ai Erbafu. I can't help but feel APK in my heart. Even if he and Waterfall Beard are willing to let these children stay, there is no guarantee that there will be other impulsive and bad-tempered giant warriors who hate, vent their anger, and target these innocent children for no reason because of Carmelo. After all, not all giants are saints. Not everyone has good cultivation and temperament, especially these Ai Erbafu warriors who worship power and are considered extremely barbaric, rude, and cruel by the outside world. Woo-woo. The nun is a human trafficker? Ai Erbafu, is this true? No, it's not true. Woo-wow. Hearing that Carmelo is actually a human trafficker. Most children naturally don't want to believe it, but there are other friends who were almost sold just now to testify. Ai Erbafu, who is very good to them and trusted by them. And those giant warriors also said so. They can't help but believe it. Even if there are still those who don't want to believe it, they just cry there helplessly. Leave them to me to raise. Looking at these bewildered children, Ai did not hesitate, looked at the two leaders, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, and said directly, "Next, I will teach them to become a qualified warrior." Although Carmelo, the Virgin Mary, is a complete liar, his eyes were full of determination. Clenching his fists, he said loudly and powerfully, "But I believe that the ideal of peaceful coexistence of all races is not illusory. It comes from the infinite expectations of those who yearn for peace and a better life. I have decided that I will completely change this terrible world, change the fate of the Lunaria people who've been oppressed and hunted for hundreds of years, and put an end to it all. I want to build a utopia where all races can coexist peacefully." Ai opened his arms, fiery eyes, unwavering. Without any hesitation or retreat, he looked directly at the giants and said passionately, "One day, I will create a dream country where everyone can live in harmony, even if they are of different races and beliefs, and there will be no racial discrimination and hatred between each other and no racial barriers." For a while, in the entire Ai Erbafu village, whether it was the two giant elders Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, or the other giant warriors, or the children, they all stared at Ai in a daze. They were all shocked by his words. Is it really possible to build such a country? How can it be done? Jabababa, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, the two giant warriors, looked at each other there and laughed together. Tears all burst out, as expected of a natural warrior favored by the sun god. If it were you, Ai maybe you could really do it. What the heck? Chapter 15 Magic? Gerd ability, Wait for Ai to return to the coast. Tell Gerd the true face of Carmelo. The giant girl was stunned. Some couldn't believe it. The nun is a human trafficker? Is this true? Well, that's the situation. Ai shrugged and said directly. But next, I will take the children of the Lamb's house and leave Ai Erbafu to live on the nearby islands. I will lead them to build a dream country where all races in the world can live happily together. Is this your dream? Ai Gerd was full of surprise. Holding his little hand, his eyes showed admiration. So awesome. Really? Linlin's eyes lit up and raised his hands there. Ai Linlin wants to come with you too. Of course, Linlin is my wings. Ai touched her head and said with a smile, Then I want to come with you too." Seeing this, Gerd was not to be outdone. "Okay, but you have to wait until you grow up before you can join. Otherwise, the uncle and aunt won't agree." Ai pinched Gerd's pretty face with baby fat and said with a smile, "During this period, Gerd must practice well and work hard to become stronger." "Okay, I will work hard, Ai Gerd was full of energy, but soon she thought of something. She said to Ai excitedly, "By the way, Ai I seem to have learned the magic of Carmelite nuns. Look, she said. A pair of white and tender palms stretched out and directly faced the flowers under her feet. Move them all. Swish, swish. In the surprised eyes of Ai, Air, and Linlin, a strange light emerged from Gerd's hands and drowned the flowers. In a blink of an eye, they appeared with children's paintings with smiling faces. They swayed and danced. I am a flower of flower, 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 colorful flowers. An anthropomorphic mask appeared, singing there. It was amazing. Wow, so magical. These flowers are alive. Linlin blinked her big eyes, feeling extremely surprised. She looked at Gerd with envy and asked incredulously, Gerd, can you do the same magic as Ai, Air, Oni-chan? After receiving praise from his friends, Gerd held his head high. I'm awesome, right? This is the ability of the soul fruit. Ai Air was stunned when he saw this scene. Carmelo had shown his abilities to the children of the Lamb's house many times, coaxing them to say that it was magic. Gerd had naturally seen it, so he mistakenly thought it was real magic. But he naturally recognized it at a glance. This was the ability of the Paramecia soul fruit. You know, he spent a lot of effort and couldn't find the soul fruit that regenerates randomly. Unexpectedly, it was actually obtained by Gerd. Have you ever eaten a strange fruit with special patterns? Ai asked Gerd directly. Strange fruit? Gerd tilted his head. Thinking of something, he said directly, by the way, not long ago, Linlin really picked up a strange fruit in the forest, and we shared it. Yes, that fruit is so beautiful, but it tastes terrible. Linlin said happily. What are you talking about, Linlin? Gerd, who had no idea how lucky he was, knocked Linlin's head there with his hands on his waist and complained, if you hadn't stuffed it directly into my mouth, I might not have eaten it. It's too bad. Ai, Air. He didn't expect that the ability he couldn't recycle would end up being obtained by Linlin. Is this considered the devil fruit choosing its own people? However, I didn't expect Linlin to share it with Gerd. After a lot of twists and turns, Gerd got the ability of the soul fruit. Fate is really wonderful. Okay, Gerd, don't blame Linlin. Ai Air touched the heads of Gerd and Linlin and said with a smile, You are lucky. That is the legendary devil fruit. The nun is the ability user of the Paramecia soul fruit. It is not magic. He introduced it directly to Gerd and Linlin. It seems that after I killed the nun, her ability was randomly reborn in the forest of Ai Erbafu, and Linlin picked it up. That is the ability to give souls to all things and let them have life. I don't know how many people envy it, but can't get it. You have to thank Linlin. She gave you a powerful ability, although Linlin accidentally missed the ability of the soul fruit. However, it is not a bad thing. Strictly speaking, compared to this type of Paramecia, but the ability of the Zoan Fantasy Beast species is more suitable for such a natural monster. It can greatly enhance the ability of the ability user in all directions, and has various auxiliary abilities which can exert a stronger combat power. And it was a coincidence that when he crossed the red line from the comm belt next to the first half of the Grand Line and flew to Ai Erbafu, he accidentally passed by a place called Forgotten Island. After some effort, he obtained a rare mythical beast fruit from an ancient ruin. For Linlin, it was perfect. Chapter 16, Ai Air's Gift, Mythical Beast Species. Vampire form, is that so? On the coast. Listening to Ai Air's Popular Science. Learn about devil fruit. Moreover, I have a full understanding of the power of the soul fruit. Gerd was stunned. He never thought that he would accidentally take advantage of it. Linlin, thank you so much. She rushed to Linlin and hugged her. Although she became a landlubber and would be cursed by the sea and could no longer swim. But correspondingly, she gained a very magical and powerful devil fruit ability. According to Ai Air, when she masters the power of the soul fruit, she can try to inject part of her soul into the flames and even the clouds to create a powerful homies, thereby controlling the elemental power of fire and thunder in disguise. At that time, not only can she fly directly with them, but she can even control the weather. You're welcome. Missed the ability of the soul fruit. However, Linlin obviously did not have any jealousy or regret. Holding Gerd there, he said happily, "We are good friends." "Yes, we are good friends." Gerd also grinned and said happily. Seeing this, Ai smiled slightly. He took out a gray wooden box directly from the sack he was carrying. He smiled and said to the two women, "It just so happens that I already have a gift for Gerd and Linlin. But since Gerd is already a superpower, then don't consider it." At first, he was going to give the paramecia dice fruit to Gerd. After all, dice fruit can not only make the superpower's whole body as tough as steel and invulnerable to swords and guns, and any part of it can become an extremely sharp blade that can easily tear and cut the target. For the giants with huge bodies and amazing strength, it is also a relatively matching ability. But now Gerd naturally doesn't need it. Gift? Really? Linlin was full of surprise and looked at Ai eagerly. And hearing that he had originally had a share, but now he was not going to give it to himself. Looking at the mysterious treasure box, Gerd was curious. Is it a devil fruit? Yes. You must remember, a person can only obtain one ability and cannot eat two devil fruits at the same time, otherwise the body will explode directly. This is common sense in the sea. Ai did not keep a secret. He smiled and opened the treasure box. A dark purple apple-shaped devil fruit appeared in front of the two women. It was not the dice fruit snatched from the world government, but the devil fruit he had obtained from the Forgotten Island in the first half of the New World. Yes, Ai found the ability of the bat fruit, mythical beast, vampire form. Eating it can transform into a legendary vampire, and by plundering the youth and lifespan of others, the ability user can keep a young posture. And there are other incredible additional abilities. Although it is not clear whether the ability of the mythical beast, a vampire form, can make people immortal, but there is no doubt that it can definitely keep people young forever. It was just right to give it to Linlin. He didn't want his first wife to become an ugly old woman in the future. It was originally stored in the village, but he just took it out. Give it to me. Linlin took the fruit and was a little surprised. Ai touched her head and smiled and said, "Although it tastes bad, it can give you powerful strength and even fly into the sky." Can fly into the sky? Really? Hearing that it can fly, Linlin's eyes lit up and were full of surprise. That's right. If you swallow it whole, it won't taste bad. Ai nodded and smiled. For a little giant like them, this devil fruit in the form of a mythical beast and vampire is only a little bigger than a thumb. That's right. Linlin's eyes lit up. Without hesitation, he threw it into his mouth. Gulp. He swallowed it all at once. Ai, can I fly now? Linlin looked at herself and asked impatiently, "How can it be that fast?" "Don't worry." Ai responded with a smile. Ai, what is the ability of Linlin's fruit? Gerd asked curiously. Bat fruit, mythical beast, vampire form. Ai said directly. Bat fruit. Gerd's eyes widened. Linlin was shocked. Vampire form? Does it mean that I will become a vampire? Don't be afraid. The ability is not good or bad. It depends on the person who uses it. Ai touched Linlin's head and comforted her with a smile. The ability of the mythical beast vampire form can not only fly, but also keep people young forever. Linlin doesn't want to become an old woman like a nun in the future, right? Ai naturally doesn't envy the ability of this mythical beast vampire form. After all, the ability of the snake fruit, mythical beast, Quetzalcoatl form that he obtained is not inferior to the legendary fish fruit, mythical beast, blue dragon form that can transform into a blue dragon and fly in the clouds. It can definitely be said to be one of the top abilities in the sea. The endless auxiliary abilities alone, controlling wind, thunder, fire, and other elements, controlling plants, molting, and regeneration. These are equivalent to the collection of multiple paramecia devil fruits. In particular, the Lunaria tribe itself can control fire. The combination of the two, 1 + 1 is far greater than 2, has produced a qualitative change, and the power is unimaginable. As the basic ability of the Zoan mythical beast, it also greatly strengthens the already exaggerated physique of this natural monster. Strength, speed, defense, endurance, recovery, and other aspects have all-round improvement and have reached a higher level. Add to that the steel balloon-like defense of the Lunaria tribe and the racial innate ability of ignoring damage. Not only does it have a strong attack power, but it also has extremely terrifying defense. It can even be said that it is impossible to kill. It is enough to make people shudder. Become an old woman like a nun? Hearing this, Linlin recalled the wrinkled and ugly appearance of Sister Carmelo and said with disgust, "I don't want it. I don't want to become an old woman." In contrast, Gur didn't care so much. The lifespan of the giants is quite long. Just like the two giant elders Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, they're already more than 300 years old. Even if she can't live that long, it's still easy to live to 200 or 300 years old. Now, she's only 12 years old. So, I gave this ability to you, Linlin. Ai put his hands on Linglin's shoulders and said with a smile, "Look, Gerd is a giant, and his lifespan is more than 3 times that of humans. I'm also a half-giant and a descendant of the Lunaria tribe. Maybe my lifespan will not be much worse than that of the giants. And Linlin, although you're very big, you are just a human after all. You have become a user of the ability of the mythical beast vampire form. Not only can you stay young forever, but you may also be able to live longer so that we can be together forever." Unlike Linlin as an upgraded human, it is still difficult to say how long Ai, a half-giant, can live. He once asked Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard that in the past, those half-giants who inherited the blood of the giants could live to at least 150 to 180 years old if they did not die prematurely due to accidents. But there has never been such a special case as him. Not only is he a hybrid of the Lunaria tribe and the giants, but he is also a natural monster. If he really perfectly inherited the blood of both, his lifespan might be the same as that of the giants, or even more exaggerated. It is hard to say at present. If there is a chance, Ai naturally does not mind living longer. Moreover, as far as he knows, there is more than one way to make people immortal. Let alone other things, Ai believes that it should be easy for him to live for 200 years. Even if his lifespan is not as good as that of the giants, it will definitely be far longer than that of normal humans. In this way, even after 100 years, he is still in his prime. There is time to slowly consider the issue of immortality. To be with you forever. Linglin's eyes lit up and said excitedly, "Then I want to become a vampire. Yes, then we could be together forever, Linlin." Gerd hugged her happily. Chapter 17, Tato Land? A fantasy paradise. The next day, early in the morning, he said goodbye to the 2 giant elders, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard. Ai took Linlin and the children from all over the world, different races, and good qualifications from the Lamb House. He took the big ship provided by the giants and left Ai Erbafu and came to the island where he killed Carmela yesterday. The land there is fertile and the scenery is beautiful. It can be used as a base in the future. As for the bodies of those world government personnel, he had already manipulated the plants and thrown them into the sea to feed the sea beasts and sea kings. So, the scene was not so bloody. At least, the crying, uneasy, and confused children of the Lamb House were not scared. "Are these all left by you, Ai fighting with those world government lackeys?" The scene is really chaotic. Even so, looking at the messy sight, the overwhelming and messy trees and vines, Cassie, Redding, Oimo, and other giant warriors who followed were all a little surprised. "Ai are we going to live here in the future?" Linlin pulled the corner of Ai's clothes and looked around curiously. In fact, she had already vaguely understood that she might be abandoned by her parents. In addition, she was a heartless, cheerful, and open-minded child, so she did not ask to stay on the coast of Ai Erbafu, waiting foolishly for her parents to pick her up. Linlin, who was a little helpless, became more attached to Ai. "Yes, this is where our dream began." Ai touched her head and said with high spirits, "From today on, we will live here and build our own home from scratch. As for the future Tato Land Sea area, it is not called Tato Land now, but another name. But there is no hurry. Let's use this place as a base for the time being. When we are strong and have enough troops, we can occupy it at that time, where the dream begins. Our own home. The children of the Lamb house blinked their tearful eyes and stared at Ai Air, who was tall and looked like a little giant. The depressed and confused eyes brightened up. That's right, we want to build our own dream kingdom here. Ai Air opened his arms and laughed loudly. Oh, great. Boss Ai Air, we listen to you. Build a dream kingdom. Really? The children of the Lamb house. After all, they are just children, and they heard such interesting things. They waved their hands, smiled, and happily agreed. The depressed mood was swept away and gradually restored the cheerfulness and liveliness of the past. Boss Ai Air, you can do it. The two giant children, Gerd and Helding, who followed over, all smiled and spoke. And seeing the children of the Lamb house, they stopped crying. The giant warriors also laughed. Everyone work harder, help Ai Air and the others build the house before dark. Okay. After landing, Cassie, Oimo, and other giants said there. That's not necessary. Ai Air waved his hand to stop them from taking tools and starting to cut wood. Just leave it to me. Roar the next moment. In the surprised eyes of everyone, he roared, and his whole body swelled at a speed visible to the naked eye, turning into a huge and majestic Quetzalcoatl. The scales were scary, the feathers were gorgeous, and it was extremely shocking. Hovering there, Ka-ba-ba-ba. Is it the ability of the Zoan mythical bee species that is rumored to be rarer than Logia? Although I have seen it, every time I see Ai Air transform, I feel very shocked. That's right, looking at the unparalleled and awe-inspiring behemoth in front of him. Cassie, Oimo, and other giant warriors all spoke in amazement. Wow, so awesome. Linlin's eyes lit up, full of admiration. Ai Air Oni-chan has transformed. After continuous attempts yesterday, she had already mastered the ability of her own mythical bee species, vampire form, and was able to transform into a huge bat and fly freely in the sky. However, it was completely incomparable to the feathered serpent that Ai Air had transformed into in front of her. How did Ai Air become a strange bird? A child from the Lamb house said with wide eyes in disbelief. Nonsense, this is obviously a giant snake. Helding on the side couldn't help but refute it when he heard it. But snakes don't have wings and feathers. Another child from the Lamb house said naively. This, Helding was speechless. Well, he had never seen such a snake. Not only did it have feathers, but it also had 2 pairs of different wings. Stupid Helding, this is the Quetzalcoatl in mythology. Gerd knocked Helding's head, put his hands on his waist, and scolded him. It is the legendary sky god, agricultural god, and sun god. In fact, Helding's age, he is twice as old as Ai Air, and he is already 18 years old, but his appearance looks like a boy under 10 years old. Because the lifespan of giants is 3 times that of humans, the development process is relatively slow. He still maintains his innocence. Sun god. Ai Air boss is the sun god. Helding and the children of the Lamb house were full of disbelief. Ka-ba-ba-ba. Helding, don't be surprised. This is another sun god in mythology, different from the sun god we Ai Erbafu believe in. Redding, the teacher who is responsible for guiding Helding's training on weekdays and a member of the giant pirates, explained with a smile. So that's it. Helding scratched his head and suddenly realized. At this moment, in the shocked eyes of everyone, the huge Quetzalcoatl, with its terrifying vertical pupils flashing a red light, shouted, "Come out! Dreamland!" Boom! Boom! The earth rumbled and roared. Countless plants seemed to have life consciousness. They moved there. Swish! Swish! A large number of trees and vines rose from the ground. They intertwined and entangled there, and colorful flowers bloomed. At a speed visible to the naked eye, they turned into multi-story wooden houses, firmly rooted in the ground and located there. Moreover, on a towering tree that grew directly to hundreds of meters and was unreachable, even the giant warriors needed 5 or 6 people to hug the giant trunk, and there were a lot of spiral vine stairs around it. There was a large watchtower above, and there was a huge windmill on it which was turning in the wind. There were even slides, seesaws, pirate ships, Ferris wheels, rotating swings, carousels. A variety of amusement facilities, dazzling. I can't believe it. And they're all very huge. They're designed completely based on the size of giants. In a blink of an eye, this island with a diameter of about 10 kilometers, which is not particularly huge. A small half of the area has become a dreamlike children's playground. As for the other areas, except for the necessary activity space, they are reserved for planting crops or medicinal materials. Food and medicinal materials are highly profitable industries. Quetzalcoatl is the god who brings the rainy season, sowing, harvesting, and bumper harvests in the mind. He can control the growth and shape of plants. Such an ability must naturally be fully utilized. Next, Ai Air plans to slowly monopolize the export of food and precious medicinal materials in New World. When it is planted on a large scale and a large number of crop seeds are obtained, it will go to calm belt to seize and develop some deserted islands. Even plant other types of crops with higher value. Then slowly export influence and expand the business to the first half of the Grand Line and the Four Seas. After all, looting is mostly a one-time business. But this is a golden chicken that lays eggs continuously. Chapter 18. Vampire's Ability. Helding's Fear of Heights. Wow, great. Boss Ai Air, you are so awesome. I want to ride the Ferris wheel. I want to ride the merry-go-round. Looking at this dreamy paradise in front of them, whether it was Linlin, Gerd, Helding, or the children of the Lamb's house, they couldn't help but shine with excitement. They rushed up impatiently. Incredible. It's a miracle. Can you even do something like this? Such an ability is too exaggerated. Is this guy the creator? It's like a dream. It was the giants. They were all stunned by the scene in front of them. They opened their mouths wide. Some couldn't close their mouths and were full of disbelief. They all stared at Ai Air, who had transformed into the Quetzalcoatl, and marveled there. This boy with the blood of the Lunaria tribe and the giant tribe, combined with the exaggerated ability of the mythical bee species, seemed to be really omnipotent. No wonder the two adults, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, valued each other so much. Ooh, the huge body shrank. Ai Air recovered and exhaled a breath of turbid air. It's not easy to do such a thing all of a sudden. However, looking at the masterpiece in front of him, Dreamland, he couldn't help but smile with satisfaction. Next, Gerd fully mastered the ability of his Paramecia soul fruit. Find some pirates or marines, plunder their souls, inject them into the facilities interwoven with these plants, and give them another kind of life. This paradise is truly alive. Even in the future, you can consider collecting various plant seeds from all over the world and cultivating them. For example, the Alchemine mangroves in the Sabaody archipelago, and special giant plants such as the stomach baron in the Boeing Islands. If they can all be gathered together, it will be a real dream kingdom. Ai Air, you are great. Gerd rushed up, his eyes full of stars. I want to stay here too. She stuck to Ai Air and was attracted by this place. No matter what, I don't want to go back to Ai Erbafu. If you like, then stay for a few days. Ai Air said with a smile. This place is very close to Ai Erbafu. It's okay for Gerd to stay here for a few days. Moreover, he originally wanted to bring this girl here. After all, the ability of his soul fruit is very useful. Next, as long as they go out to hunt some pirates or marines, combined with his ability to manipulate plants, they can completely build a plant army to protect this island. If he had known that Gerd could obtain the ability of the soul fruit, he would have saved the lives of those CP agents. Yes, with Ai Air here, we don't have to worry about any problems with you. Gerd, Oimo on the side grinned and said with a smile, I will explain to your parents. Really? That's great. Gerd was pleasantly surprised. Ai Air boss. Even the thin-skinned Helding couldn't help but stare at Ai Air, wanting to say something but stopping. In that case, you should stay too. I'll take you back to Ai Erbafu in a few days. Ai Air smiled faintly, patted his shoulder, and said, he still valued his future giant brother. With a little training, he still has the hope of becoming a good fighting force in the future. The most important thing is that with Helding and Gerd as a link, plus his relationship with Ai Erbafu, he can recruit other giant warriors continuously. Great. Thank you, Boss Ai Air. Herding was overjoyed, although he was much older than Ai Air. But he had already been extremely convinced of this incredibly strong natural warrior. The opponent was not only exaggerated in strength and strong in physique, but also had fighting skills far superior to him. Even if he only used the same strength as him, he could easily defeat himself. This was the reason why he was convinced. Ai Air, Gerd, and Herding, do you want to come up and play? From a distance, Linlin couldn't wait and was already sitting on the huge swing excitedly. The tough vines kept shaking, and she waved to Ai Air and Gerd. Okay, wait for me, Gerd. Gerd and Herding ran up excitedly. Ai Air didn't rush to join in. She smiled and said goodbye to Cassie, Redding, Oimo, and other giant warriors who were about to leave, and watched several giants rowing away. Bon voyage. Kapapapa goodbye. What is that? Is Linlin a monster? She turned into a big bat. Ai Air just turned his head. He saw the children of the Lamb House pointing at the sky and screaming. Puff Lingling, a big bat with purple and black fur all over its body, which made people's scalps numb, grabbed Herding and Gerd and flapped its wings to fly high into the sky. It was like a black shadow passing through the sky. The speed was surprisingly fast. Put me down, I want to return to the ground. Linlin, I don't want to fly so high. Wow, wow, wow. The wind was howling, looking at the ground below, getting farther and farther away. Herding and Gerd kept screaming there. Their faces were pale and tears were pouring out. Hee, I'll take you up to sea, at an altitude of 200 or 300 meters. Linlin, who had transformed into a vampire bat, was full of excitement. He turned a deaf ear to the cries of the two people and took them directly to the top of the tallest towering tree. Soon, it passed the windmill that turned against the wind and landed on the huge watchtower. Who? Survived. On the watchtower, Gerd and Herding, who were put down, turned pale. They sat there, as if they had survived a disaster. They kept panting. Gerd, Herding, look, it's so beautiful outside. The huge bat turned into a human form. Linlin looked into the distance and shouted happily. Gerd recovered and knocked Linlin's head fiercely. Linlin, you are too messy. But soon, she was shocked by the beautiful and broad view. With stars in her eyes, she shouted in surprise, wow, great, hee, this place is great. Linlin opened her hands and squinted her eyes happily. What a headache. Ai Air smiled helplessly. The black wings suddenly fluttered. His figure quickly swept to the sky. I have to say that Linlin's talent is really amazing. In such a short time, she has been able to skillfully use her own fruit ability. Needless to say, the most prominent auxiliary ability of the mythical bee species, vampire form, is to plunder others' youth and lifespan. Not only can she transform into a giant bat, but if she wants, she can also directly disperse into countless vampire bats to dissolve the enemy's attacks, or attack multiple enemies at the same time. Moreover, these vampire bats are the same as her original body, with amazing strength, invulnerability, and exaggerated defense. Not only can they ignore ordinary attacks, but they are also not afraid of ordinary flames. They are amazingly fast and extremely swift. It is not easy to stop them, let alone kill them. Moreover, their teeth are as sharp as blades, and they can even bite thick steel plates into pieces. Their attack power is quite strong. They can directly suck the target's blood and even plunder the opponent's youth, which is extremely ferocious. This is just a short time since she has acquired the ability. She has not yet fully mastered various auxiliary abilities and has not yet developed them in depth. The ability of the mythical bee species vampire form is obviously far more than this. Ai Air, Gerd pointed to the slowly moving ship on the sea and excitedly said to Ai Air, who was flying straight up, "Look, the scenery here is so beautiful. And you can also see Cassie, Oimo, and their ships." The tall figure, like a fallen angel, soon landed on the watchtower. Linlin, you haven't been through rigorous training yet. It's very dangerous to bring people up rashly like this. Don't do it like this next time. He knocked on Linlin's forehead unhappily. Pinching the chubby cheek, he decided to make this little fat girl lose weight as soon as possible, at least to make her as slim as Gerd. After all, how can the future #1 beauty in the sea be so fat? It hurts. Linlin covered her forehead. She nodded aggrievedly. I know. Ai you scared Hayerding so much. He looked at Hayerding, who was trembling with fear and barely stood up. Do you want to go down? Hayerding. Yes, Ai take me down. It was as if he had seen the backbone. Hayerding nodded repeatedly, his voice trembling. Looking at Hayerding, who was sweating and shaking unnaturally and didn't dare to look outside, Ai couldn't help but twitch his mouth. Hey, kid, you are not afraid of heights, right? Who is afraid of heights? Hayerding was stimulated. He immediately wanted to prove himself, try to open his eyes wide and look down. I'm not afraid of heights. Then dash plop. He collapsed there. Holding Ai's right foot, he cried helplessly, oh, wow. Ai take me down quickly. It's too high here. Blowing the sea breeze. Looking at Hayerding, who was crying. Linlin looked around and scratched her head. Is it very high here? If the watchtower was not so high, she felt that she could fly higher. Hailing is really useless. Shame on you. Gur made a face at Hayerding. Seeing Hayerding's performance, Ai couldn't help but smile and laughed. Okay, don't cry. I'll take you down now. Chapter 19 Ai's Deception, the Dream Home. Everyone, I won't say much about the nun. Some of you are precocious and more sensitive than ordinary children. You're not completely ignorant of the world. Some of you should have known her true face. The sun sets. The children who are tired of playing in the lamb house, as well as Linlin, Gerd, Hayerding, and others, all gathered on the coast. Ai who is as big as a little giant, stood there like a crane standing out among chickens, while Linlin, Gerd, Hayerding, and others also sat obediently on the grass. No one stopped fighting. Looking at Ai who was speaking in front of them, they listened attentively. In short, from today on, we are a family and we will live together. Looking at the children of the lamb house, Ai said loudly, Since you call me boss Ai I will not abandon you. You can rest assured. This dream park is just a beginning. I will lead you to build a dream country that truly belongs to all of us, where all races can coexist peacefully and everyone can live together harmoniously. Yes, Boss Ai From today on, we listen to you. Yes, Boss Ai You are our parent. We listen to you in everything. Boss Ai Please don't abandon us. The children of the lamb house, their eyes were shining and stars were shining. Looking at the tall Ai in front of them with admiration, they shouted there. Ai I want to come too. Yes, me too. Linlin and Gerd both rushed over and hugged Ai's left and right arms. Of course, you are all my wings. Ai pinched the cheeks of the two and smiled. Linlin is a natural monster. Needless to say, he will be the main fighter in the future. He remembered that Gerd seemed to be quite talented in medicine. Maybe he could develop in this direction and become the team ship doctor and fighter. And the ability of the soul fruit, whether in combat or other aspects, is obviously all around. Although it cannot directly treat others. But in the final analysis, the ability still depends on how to use it. This power that can give life to all things is really too bug. The two women were obviously very happy to get Ai's approval. Ai smiled at Hayerding. Hayerding, do you want to join? Compared to Gerd, although Hayerding's qualifications are not very high, it is unlikely that he can become a monster comparable to Marine Admiral. But the racial talent of the giants is there. If you train them well, there's still a lot to do. Can become a good fighting force. Can I also become your wings? Boss Ai Hayerding was stunned. His face flushed red. He said with some shame, but I was so embarrassed just now. He had always aimed to become a great giant warrior like Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, but he was scared to the point of almost peeing his pants by a height of just a few hundred meters. This made him feel uneasy and he wanted to crawl into a crack in ground. Everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. What we need to do is face our fears, not escape or retreat. Ai patted Hayerding's shoulder and said with a smile, Holding, I believe that one day you will be able to overcome your fear of heights. Ai Erbafu. Halding stared at the majestic Ai Air. Even if one day, the two seniors, Blue Ogre Dory and Red Ogre Broggy, decide the winner, and one of them returns with the glory of the winner, the long-silent giant pirates will be resurrected again. Ai Air pressed Halding's shoulder and said bluntly, "But with your current strength, it's too early for you to become the leader of the giant pirates. It's better to follow us and hone your skills on the sea first. I believe that one day you will surpass Mountain Beard, Waterfall Beard, and others, and become the strongest of the giants." Now Halding is still relatively naive and passionate. Ambition is not as inflated and unrealistic as in the future, and he always wants to become the king of the giants. Becoming a respected giant like Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard is his biggest dream at present. "Okay." Halding's face flushed. Full of excitement, he said loudly, "I am willing to follow you, Boss Ai Air. Then from now on, you'll train with us. I will explain to your master Redding when I return to Ai Erbafu in a few days." Ai Air said with a smile. Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard are old after all. They don't have much energy to guide Halding, whose talent is not particularly outstanding. On weekdays, Halding trains with his teacher, Redding, a former member of the Giant Pirates. Because in the past 6 months, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard have not kept their teachings to themselves, and even the Spear of Ai Erbafu is willing to teach them to themselves without reservation. Out of respect for these two giant elders, Ai Air did not rashly rely on his innate special observation Haki to read each other's memories, and in the past few months, he had learned almost everything he needed to learn. The two former leaders of the giant pirates had nothing to teach him. He had also gradually learned the tricks of Erbafu's highest combat skills in the past 2 days. He believed that he would be able to master Erbafu's 3 spears in a few days. It was obviously more than enough to guide Halding. "Okay, the meeting is over. Let's start preparing dinner." Ai Air clapped his hands. He was obviously in a good mood after successfully convincing Halding to join. As for Gerd, he couldn't run away. "Everyone, have a good night's rest after eating and drinking." He looked serious. He looked around and announced to everyone, "This will be the most comfortable and relaxing night for you in the days to come. Starting tomorrow, I will train you strictly and make you a qualified warrior. Linlin, Gerd, Halding, you have to come too. No one is allowed to be lazy." Huh, not only Linlin. Even Gerd was confused. Her face was gloomy. Didn't she come to this newly built dreamland to play? Why did she have to keep training like in Ai Erbafu? Yes, Ai Erbafu, but Halding and the children of the Lamb House were completely different. They were full of energy and full of infinite expectations. Chapter 20. The Gun of Erbafu. Everyone, be serious. No one is allowed to be lazy. Those who are lazy will not be allowed to eat breakfast today. Time flies. A week passed in a flash on the island named Dreamland. And in front of the spacious gate, there is a sign called Dream House. On the coast, children of many races, including humans, snake-headed people, long-handed people, long-legged people, fish people, fur people, are all there standing in a horse stance and punching constantly. And Linlin, Gerd, and Halding, each of them occupied a large area with serious faces, constantly waving weapons and doing it in a proper manner. Gerd used a long-handled axe, while Linlin used a broadsword, and Halding used a double-edged broadsword. The leader Ai Air was responsible for taking the lead, standing on the coast, and also waving a long sword constantly. While exercising there, he supervised them from time to time, after a few days of rigorous training. Basically, everyone was severely punished by Ai Air several times. No one dared to treat cultivation as a joke anymore, and they were training seriously with sweat pouring down their throats. Even Linlin was no exception, and she didn't dare to smile frivolously, because when Ai Air punished her, she made her stand on one leg and watch everyone eat and enjoy the food. But she couldn't move, so she could only watch. For Linlin, this was undoubtedly the most uncomfortable thing. In particular, Ai Air once told her that if she didn't obey, she would go to the nearby islands when she had time and buy a lot of delicious snacks. Everyone could eat, but she couldn't. This was the punishment for making mistakes. The little fat girl was so scared that she didn't dare to be careless anymore. Every day, she followed Ai Air obediently and carried out high-intensity training. Who? Ai Air waved the sword. Each time, it brought amazing wind pressure, causing ripples and surges on the sea surface. Roar at this moment. A huge black shadow appeared on the sea surface. Moreover, it was getting closer and closer at an amazing speed. Hualala. A huge sea kings, attracted by the noise of Ai Air's training, emerged directly from the sea. Its ferocious, bloody mouth opened brazenly. It was about to pounce on Ai Air. Ah, it's the Sea Kings, the sudden scene. All the children in the dream house screamed out. Even Wielding and Gerd were shocked. Ai Erbafu's spear. However, Ai Air, who was training observation Haki all the time, had a calm face. He had already noticed the approach of this behemoth. His eyes were stern, and his momentum was amazing. The huge sword was swung diagonally, tearing the atmosphere brazenly, and slashed straight out. Wagwa, swish! The atmosphere was directly distorted. A cylindrical sword energy shock wave instantly crushed the atmosphere and swept out. Boom! In an instant, this huge Sea Kings was at least 200 to 300 meters in size. Its huge head was pierced directly, and a huge blood hole appeared in front and back. Boom! Boom! The exaggerated sword energy shock wave continued to blast straight into the distant sea. It left a shocking, huge groove. It took a long time to heal. Hualala. At this time, the Sea Kings, which had lost its breath of life, lost its support and fell down with a bang. A large piece of water splashed. What is this? Witnessing this amazing scene, Wielding's eyes widened and he cried out, "The spear of Erbafu? Hiss. Although I've heard of it a long time ago, this is the first time I've seen it." Gerd was also shocked. Is this one of the 3 most powerful spears of Erbafu in the legend? The power is amazing. Even though they were born in Erbafu, they have never seen the spear skills that Erbafu is proud of, but have only heard of their power. After all, there are only a handful of giant warriors who can master them. The 2 giant elders who stayed in the village of Erbafu, Mountain Beard and Waterfall Beard, the 2 former leaders of the giant pirates, naturally mastered this skill. But they are old. They are old and weak, and they can no longer swing such attacks. It is even more impossible to demonstrate for these young people. Wow, Linlin's eyes are full of stars and full of admiration. So awesome, Oni-chan. Can I also master such a spear of Erbafu in the future? She grabbed the big knife, imitating Ai Air, swinging diagonally. At this moment, the little fat girl yearned for such power. The sea was torn apart. Such big Sea Kings were killed in an instant. Too awesome, boss Ai Air. The children of the dream house. They were stunned and full of excitement. Looking at Ai Air's majestic figure. Worship. See it. Ai Air turn around, looking at these excited little ghosts. He smiled, drank chicken soup there, and said loudly, "This is the result of my practice in Ai Erbafu these days. As long as you work hard, you may not be able to achieve this level. So, if you want to become as strong as me, you must work harder to practice." Ai Erbafu's gun is divided into 3 types. The first is to attack with bare hands without weapons. Concentrate all your own strength and gather your essence, energy, and spirit. Go forward and hit with all your strength. It is called the hero's gun. The second is to use a long sword or other weapons. Raise your own momentum to ultimate. Charge and swing forward to release a giant sword shock wave. The range is extremely wide. The speed is extremely fast. It is difficult to dodge, and it can directly tear apart all obstacles and destroy any target. The third is the most famous joint attack of Ai Erbafu Hakoku. It is usually composed of 2 or more powerful giant warriors who cooperate perfectly to release a more powerful and diffuse giant shockwave to crush and destroy all targets. Each of the 3 spears has its own advantages. The hero spear is suitable for unarmed close-range attacks. The Waigwa has a fast attack speed, short charge, and amazing lethality. Hakoku usually requires multiple people to cooperate and has a longer charge, but the destruction range is wider, far better than the Waigwa. After 6 months of hard training day after day in Ai Erbafu. In the past few days, Ai Air has successfully mastered Ai Erbafu's strongest combat skill, Waigwa, and the hero spear that gathers all the strength of the body and attacks at close range. However, for others, it is obviously not that easy to master Ai Erbafu's spear skills. But Ai Air might as well use it to motivate these friends. Yes, Ai Erbafu. I will work hard. A group of children from the dream house. Even Linlin, Gerd, wielding, and others are like chicken blood. All are full of excitement and training there with full enthusiasm. Faced with such power, how can they not yearn for it? Chapter 21 Dice Fruit. Son, Prometheus great. Finally, it's over. It's time for breakfast. Boss Ai Air, please hurry up. I'm starving. Okay, we don't have a professional chef after all. Everyone just wait, and it will be ready soon. The sun was high in the sky. The morning exercise was over. Everyone was sweating profusely and sat there to rest without any image. Gulp, gulp. They drank the refreshing cold water that had been prepared long ago. But it didn't satisfy their hunger after all. They covered their gurgling stomachs and shouted at Ai Air with bitter faces. Hayerding, you have already mastered the ability of dice fruit in the past few days, and the ingredients will be left to you to cut. Ai Air finished training. Wipe the sweat off his head. Sit there without moving, pointing to the huge sea kings. Got it. It will be ready soon. Hearing this, Hayerding immediately became motivated. Plaguing his chest, he ran forward excitedly. In the past few days, Ai Air has given him the ability of paramecia, dice fruit. He has become invulnerable to swords and guns, and his whole body can become an extremely sharp and indestructible blade that can easily tear and cut everything. Chi! The cold light flashed. Hayerding's hands turned into blades and waved them continuously. Soon, the huge sea kings was cut into pieces, and the proportions were very even. Ai Erbafu, it's all cut. His hands were restored to their original state, and Hayerding smiled. Now he can easily crush 10, 50, or even 100 of his former selves. This young rising star of the giants has fully experienced the power of devil fruit. Naturally, he is full of gratitude to this Ai Erbafu. He is more determined to follow him. It's a so-so. The knife skills are not perfect enough. You need to continue to strengthen your training. Ai Erbafu. He stretched out his right hand and hooked his finger. Swish, swish. Amazing vines emerged from the ground. All the freshly cut pieces of Sea King's meat were strung up one by one, and the internal organs were all cleaned. Each piece was thrown into a large wooden barrel filled with clean water and washed briefly by the vines, and then thrown into a wooden barrel filled with seasonings for soaking. Pieces of Sea King's meat were hung on the coast like a bridge, shining with a crystal luster. What a convenient ability. Gerd sighed. Of course, her soul fruit ability is not bad either. In the past few days, under the guidance of Ai Air, she has gradually mastered her own abilities. She felt more and more the power and magic of the soul fruit ability. Hurry up and bake it. I'm almost starving. Sitting on the swing beside her, swinging back and forth, Linlin covered her round belly and said weakly. Gerd was speechless. Linlin, you haven't lost weight at all, okay? Ai Air and Linlin eat the most during the 3 meals a day. Their stomachs are like bottomless pits, the kind that makes people dumbfounded. Crackle, crackle. Ai Air's head was blazing with flames. A huge fire dragon flew out directly. It drowned the barbecue. Sizzle. In a moment. Witnessed by all the friends in Dreamland. Pieces of golden barbecue exuded a fragrant meaty aroma, which was extremely tempting. It's done. Ai Air, who was in control of the heat at all times. Seeing that the barbecue was cooked, he put away the flame directly. Looking at these friends who couldn't hold back and couldn't stop swallowing their saliva, he smiled and said, "It's time to eat. Everyone be careful of the burns." Great! I want this piece. This piece is mine, don't grab it. In the midst of fighting and playing, the huge Sea King's barbecue was quickly devoured. Of course, it mainly went directly into the stomachs of Ai, Air, and Linlin, two natural monsters. Gerd and Helding, two growing giants, also ate a lot. Each of them was about the same as all the children in the dream house. Burp so full, holding her round belly with satisfaction. Gerd narrowed his crescent eyes, ran to Ai, Air, and asked excitedly, Ai, Air, when will we create homies? As he mastered the power of the soul fruit. She was already impatient to create the strongest homies that Ai, Air had mentioned to her. Since you have mastered the power of the soul fruit, you can do it at any time. Ai, Air raised his eyebrows and chuckled. Then follow me. In the surprised eyes of Helding, Linlin, and the children of Dreamhouse, the two soon came to the coast, not far away. Swish! Ai, Air's eyes were stern. The flames behind his head rose. Suddenly, a ball of extremely fierce fire appeared. It turned into a huge fire dragon, drowning the sea in front. Zizi, in an instant, the entire sea surface was reflected in an extremely red color, and there was a lot of water that was constantly evaporating. Woo-hoo-hoo! A wave of amazing heat waves kept coming in the face. Even though they were far away, Helding and the others could feel the terrible high temperature. Activate your ability and inject soul into the flames. Pointing to the fierce flames, Ai, Air smiled and said to Gerd, let it transform into the shape of the sun. The ability of the soul fruit is quite special. As a giant, Gerd is obviously not comparable to ordinary humans. Now she has created the highest level homies with her own soul with the ability of the soul fruit. It will definitely not be weak. Moreover, when she grows up and becomes stronger in the future, it is entirely possible to take back most of the souls given to these homies while retaining their consciousness, and then re-inject more powerful soul power. In that case, the homies should be able to grow again and become stronger. With my soul, I will give you a new life. Gerd's face was serious, and his whole body was filled with an incredible and strange glow. With both hands facing the flame, he shouted, come out in the form of the sun, Prometheus. Crackle. What is that? The flames are alive, just like the devil. The flames were soaring into the sky on the sea. In the shocked eyes of everyone, the huge flames surged and turned into a devilish face. Swish! Then, in their stunned eyes, the blazing flames kept shrinking. It turned into a golden little sun with an anthropomorphic smile. It was like the face in a children's painting. Master, hello, I am Prometheus. Son, Prometheus flew over, because it was the highest level homies created by Gerd with part of his soul. So it was very close to this master. Hello, we will be partners from now on, Prometheus. Gerd narrowed his crescent eyes. Touching Prometheus, he didn't feel any temperature at all and was full of joy. Wow, is this the highest level homies that Ai, Air, Oni-chan mentioned? Linlin's eyes lit up. Puff, in the eyes of many people in shock. She instantly turned into countless bats and flew up. Oh, has it reached this level? Looking back and seeing this scene, Ai, Air couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Unexpectedly, the other party was able to use the ability of the mythical beast in vampire form so skillfully. In human form, he can instantly activate the ability of the mythical beast of vampire form and easily transform into a large number of bats. Moreover, these days, after repeated verification and attempts, he found that Linlin's ability is far more than that. Not only can he plunder the youth and lifespan of others, but he can also manipulate the blood he has touched at will. He can also fully absorb and devour the blood of others and even other creatures to replenish his own consumption and recover from injuries, and has a very strong regeneration ability. Or use it to cooperate with other abilities and moves. Even if her body is terribly injured, or even if she is pierced through the vital parts, as long as she can get a steady supply of blood, she is an unkillable monster and can directly recover and regenerate. Even the ferocious Sea Kings, as long as Linlin touches the bleeding wound. If she wants, she can instantly drain all the blood in their bodies, and there is no way to stop it. It is extremely terrifying and frightening. Swish! All of a sudden, a large number of vampire bats gathered into human form. Linlin ran over directly, grabbed Prometheus curiously, and kept rubbing and pulling there. It's so strange. It's really a living creature. By the way, your name is Prometheus, right? Can you poop? Chapter 22, Zeus and Hera, the Warhorn, on the coast. Listening to Linglin's weird questions, Ai Air and Gerd on the side couldn't help but frown. A hole. What kind of weird questions are you asking? The ravaged Prometheus couldn't stand it. He broke free from Linglin's restraints and turned into a raging flame. He showed a devilish face, burning violently in the air, and said to Linlin fiercely, "I am the sun, the flame." "Humph, I'm just asking, why are you so fierce?" Linlin said angrily. As he said that, he made a face at Prometheus. This guy is really full of personality. Ai Air chuckled. That is, Linlin, who was not in a rampage state when he was a child, has a good temper at present. If it was the big MOM in the original trajectory, because there was no one to guide him, he grew up wildly, had an extremely domineering personality, and was perverse and violent. I'm afraid Prometheus would have been scared to kneel down and beg for mercy. However, what surprised him a little was that Gerd was usually so good-tempered, but the homies created with part of her soul was so irritable. Probably because the main body was flame. Prometheus, Linlin is my partner. You are not allowed to be mean to her. Gerd put his hands on his waist. He gave Prometheus a slap and scolded it harshly. Hurry up and apologize to Linlin, or I will be angry. I know I was wrong, Master. Please don't be angry. Don't take back my soul. Being scolded by Gerd, Prometheus immediately admitted his defeat. From a flame form, it shrank back to the cute sun form. It went forward to beg for mercy, fearing that Gerd would take back its soul. Although these homies have their own consciousness, they're naturally restrained by the ability of the soul fruit and cannot resist at all. Master Linlin, I was wrong. Please forgive me. Prometheus, who was so arrogant just now, smiled and apologized humbly. Sorry, Linlin. Don't be angry. Gerd came forward and hugged Linlin, smiling and saying, Prometheus is ignorant. I have already taught it a lesson. Since it is your pet, Gerd, I won't bother with it. Linlin said happily with a smile. Compared to the friends in the dream house, she is more familiar and intimate with Gerd after all, because everyone's body size is more similar, and Gerd is the first giant friend she knows who is willing to play with her besides Ai Air, and he also brought her a lot of delicious food. Otherwise, he would not have been eager to share the strange soul fruit with each other when he just found it. Naturally, he would not take this matter to heart. Seeing that Linlin was not angry, Gerd laughed. She looked at Ai Air excitedly, full of expectations. Ai Air, let's continue. When the other party was guiding her to develop the soul fruit, I had introduced the abilities and applications of the soul fruit to her in detail. Only when multiple top-level homies cooperate can a more powerful combat power be exerted. She already had a deep and comprehensive understanding of the abilities of the soul fruit, not just preparing to create a top-level homies. Okay, I'll take you to the sky, and then you can inject souls into the clouds and create another thundercloud homies. Ai Air smiled and nodded. Said. He grabbed Gerd directly. In the eyes of others, he flapped his wings and rushed into the sky. Wait for me, I want to go up too. Linlin saw this and shouted happily. The next moment, in the envious eyes of Wielding and others, she turned into a huge bat, flapped her wings, and flew into the sky. Caught up. Woo-hoo-hoo. Soon, Ai Air, whose speed did not slow down, took Gerd first and rushed to a height of thousands of meters. Came to a huge cloud. With my soul, I will give you a new life. Gerd did the same. Directly activated the power of the soul fruit. Injected part of his soul into the cloud. Come out as a thundercloud. Zeus. Boom. Suddenly, lightning and thunder. The white cloud turned directly into a dark cloud, and a demon-like anthropomorphic face appeared. Finally, it turned into a white cloud like cotton candy, floating in front of Gerd and Ai Air. With a silly smile, "Master, I am Zeus. Please give me more advice." Wow. Ai Air took Gerd, directly fell on Zeus. Gerd stepped on the soft cloud, full of surprise. Overjoyed, he jumped there. "Great, it really won't fall. In this case, it's done." Ai Air touched Gerd's head and warned him, "The highest level homies are enough. There's no need to build too many. If you want to build ordinary homies, just plunder the souls of those pirates or marines. Or if you need to use your own soul
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.